I'm dead.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Ethan,
sounds great.
Having breakfast, huh?
Y'all ever have one of these sumo citruses before?
That's not an
It's
orange.
called an orange.
It's a sumo because it's got this little like top on it.
Yeah.
Top on it.
Oh yeah, it's
What's
like
up?
it kind of looks like a pear.
Yeah, they're fi.
Can I
Please,
can I
and
take
thank
a hit
you.
of that?
Yeah, all yours.
We can start putting that as a bag note as opposed to orange.
Thank you.
Sumo citrus.
Sumo citrus.
It's got a more distinct flavor in my IMO. Here.
Is this what we had after Frisbee?
Yep. It was good, right?
I actually really enjoyed it.
Hey, why
You're
not?
really giving
Thank
away
you.
your. This is too much.
Dude, as I have freely received, so I freely give. Oh, wait, I paid
You
for
stole
these.
this? I was going to say.
You stole this?
Welcome to the podcast, JP.
Thank you so much for having me.
Woo!
Hey, we're finally knocking out that mukbang thing everyone was requesting.
This is bad. This is why we paid so much for
This
these
is what you
microphones.
want. We got to give the people what they want. Well, today we have. Oh, excuse me.
Why don't you just finish first?
All right, just give me 1 second.
Oh, no.
Michaela's gonna be so mad.
Really? She doesn't like that?
Noises?
No.
Does anyone particularly enjoy mouth noises?
Well,
Well, ASMR heads.
yeah, probably.
That's one of the ASMR that I just don't get.
The mouth noise stuff.
Yeah.
I've never listened to a single ASMR video, but maybe we could react to some later
I haven't either.
because
Maybe
we're
we
turning
could.
into a reaction podcast.
I mean, that's where the money's made. Everyone knows that.
Dude,
It's true.
what I was trying to say earlier is that we have a wonderful man on our podcast who goes by JP McKenzie. What's the JP for? Just get this out of the way.
Yeah, let's get some guesses.
John
first.
Paul.
Close.
Jake Paul.
You found me out.
You found me.
I'm gonna go Joseph Paul.
Okay. Yeah, John Patrick. So
Oh!
0 for 3, but
Dang.
yeah. So y'all didn't get. I sent over my birth certificate. You not.
We did not receive that. Must have got lost
Well,
in the mail.
and you sent your tax forms since we're paying you to be here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Your W-2s.
And we got your rider, so we have your sumo
Yeah,
citrus.
I just needed 2 slices, and y'all have them fulfilled.
No more than 2 slices, please.
When did you start going by initials?
So when my dad is one of 10.
Oh my gosh.
Half of his siblings live in
You
Georgia.
have 10 dads.
Yeah. I have, in the one of 10 that I'm referring to. So
Where does he rank in 10?
he is the oldest.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So, yeah, he has. I think they probably have, like, his siblings have more fun stories than he does. But he, they grew up in Kansas, like the first half of them, and then the other half moved to Colorado. And so half of them still live in Colorado, and the other half moved here to Georgia. And so we spent a lot of time with them growing up. My grandma was pretty sick growing up, and so a lot of them moved here to help her, and so she could kind of be here with them. And so we were like, they moved into our neighborhood, and we spent a ton of time with them. And one of my Uncle Paul started calling me JP, which I loved, because writing John Patrick McKenzie as a kid is like not what you want to do on papers.
Unless you want to be an author.
Yeah,
Then, like,
exactly.
it's a perfect author name.
Yeah, my hand muscles were like
Through the roof.
topping. Yeah. So we, so he started calling me JP, and that's kind of what I've gone by since I was 4. And growing up, everyone's like, yeah, well, at some point you're going to grow out of JP.
Wow.
And I just really, I enjoy the initials. It feels like it suits me well. But my parents and Summer and a lot of people still call me John Patrick, which I also enjoy.
So your wife pretty exclusively refers to you as John Patrick?
Yeah, most of the time.
Wow.
John Patrick, yeah. But, I have thousands of nicknames. She calls me Jenny, Johnny, Jack, any of it. It starts
Cookie.
with- Yeah, that too. You've heard that one? Yeah, good.
Muffin.
I like Jack.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my wife to call me Jack.
Just because.
No boundaries.
Would you call me Jack, please?
Please.
It would make me a lot happier.
Yeah. Rachel, if you're listening, and I know she listens to this.
She does?
No.
Oh.
But, well, I'll have to tell her. Jack.
Does your wife listen to this?
I think she only listens to the ones that she's interested in, and this will be one of them
Wow, you hear
because,
that?
because of
Wow.
JP.
Okay, is it catching the blush? Can you see the blush? Is this camera?
You are beet red.
Well, Michaela, hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you. Well, thanks for making the drive to hang out with us for 4-6 hours.
That's all?
Yeah, well, part one at least.
Yeah, good.
We usually do like a multi-day kind of thing.
That's what I've heard.
Well, boys, what do you want to crack into? Do you want to make fun of my shirt before we start doing other stuff, or
Yeah, let's just talk about Ethan's shirt.
any guesses on how I procured this?
I mean, Value Village.
No, that's a shirt that's earned. That's not bought.
That's right.
Is it not from a thrift store?
Correct. It may have been, but
Estate sale?
not how it got to me.
Oh, someone bought it for you.
Nope.
Oh, God.
It was given to my mother as a Christmas present, and then at the end of the Christmas gift time, I went up to her and I was like, "You're not going to wear that shirt, are you?" And she was like, "No way." And I was like, "I'll give you one of my gifts that I was just given."
That's funny.
And we did a little swap.
What did you swap for it? Like $500, $600?
Yeah, I got like a new MacBook, and I was like, "Well, this is trash." So
I do not need this.
yeah, I just want the shirt. So for all the listeners, I'm wearing a shirt that says "Color Me Grandma," and then there's like little crayons around it that say things like trusting, giving, patience, loving, dependable, honest, fun. And I'm like, I guess I'm a grandma at heart because I want to live out all these values.
Which one do you think kind of most exemplifies you?
I think I'm pretty dependable,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty. It's weird to just like. What do you guys think? What do you
Oh my gosh.
pick one?
Dude, you already said dependable. You answered.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking you. Say a nice thing about me.
You want me to say something?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the first one I saw was dependable, and I thought that described you the most out of all this.
I saw loving first, and I thought that described you the most out of all of this.
I love you too.
We always do say love you on the phone
Yeah, it's important.
when we hang up.
You never know. You never know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Don't.
John Patrick? For me, I think is that grandma is the one that really
Yes.
exemplifies
Color.
you. Yeah.
Or me,
How about
grandma. Well, thank you. I can't wait to be a grandma one day.
All right, JP, give us 2 truths and a lie. How about that?
Oh.
Whoa.
Okay.
Welcome to our new segment, 2 Truths and a Lie.
Okay. Okay. I've never been out of the U.S. I burned a house down in Alabama. And let's see.
Now come up with a lie.
Yeah. And I've never had. Oh wait, no.
Hey.
I have a daughter named Larkin. I'll give you guys an easy one.
All right, the daughter one is true.
Okay, but what if her name actually isn't Larkin legally?
Yeah,
You know?
that's fair, legally speaking.
the Alabama thing is okay. I think the Alabama thing is a lie, not because it's crazy, but because it wasn't in Alabama.
Oh wow, you were really listening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. You're so well traveled that I feel like you have to have traveled outside of the U.S. But it's just so crazy that I'm gonna say that that's a lie. You haven't traveled outside of the U.S.
Okay.
I'll go house.
House. Okay. So I did burn a house down in Alabama, and I have not been out of the country.
You're just a really national traveler.
Yeah, so we didn't travel a lot growing up. My family didn't, and so I've traveled a lot since, but we never had a reason to have a passport. So I got one for our honeymoon, but then that got canceled because of COVID. And then we were planning to go to Iceland, and that got canceled because of Virgin Airlines. And then we had another trip to Paris, but again, it was one of those COVID things that like
Man.
they were.
Just
It
took a
just
turn.
didn't really feel like the time to go. So yeah, I still have not been out of
Wow.
the country despite several attempts to go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll get there someday.
What would be like your top country you'd want to visit first?
Oh man,
And we can tell you how it is.
yeah, it's tough because I think like Iceland would be really cool. I think Ireland would be incredible. I really want to go like there in Scotland, but then I'm also a huge Lord of the Rings fan. So like I want to get to New Zealand. I want to check out the sights.
Very cool.
Well, all of our listeners in those places, feel free to write in and tell us how your country is.
Yeah, what are y'all's favorite places you've traveled to or the bucket list ones?
I recently went to visit my brother. Me and my wife went to visit my brother and his family in Kauai, one of
yeah.
the smaller islands in Hawaii, and it was great. Super, super cool. I got to go. I would say that was one of my favorite trips, but I got to spend some time in British Columbia a few summers ago, and that was just a really like random space because it was a massive valley and it was just in a totally unknown area, very
Yeah.
expansive. Sky was bigger. That was a cool space. So that was my two things. I would love to go. I think Iceland would be swagadelic.
Yeah,
But I don't have any like huge travel goals.
right.
TBH. I'm not like a travel junkie. Probably just want to go like South Carolina or something.
It's amazing.
Go to like Clemson. Just like see
Spartanburg.
Spartanburg.
The highway there is
Columbia.
It's so straight and
Yeah, the highway's bigger.
Yeah, the highway's bigger.
It's lit too.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang,
They
it's
light
Really
it?
nice. Well, yeah, once you get to a certain point, there's lights.
that's
And it's
amazing.
like, this is so nice.
Yes, never seen anything like it.
What about you?
Probably Hawaii for me as well.
Yeah,
Went to Maui almost 3 years ago, and it was awesome. Was there for 2 weeks, my longest vacation ever.
sounds nice though.
Yeah, I've never been out of the country. I went to Mexico on a cruise when I was like 11.
Right.
Count
so
it.
I don't really count it. But that's the thing. I just haven't been to so many places in. Well, I don't know. I've been to a few places in America,
You've
but
been to a lot
there's-
of
there's-
national
There's still
parks.
more that I
Yeah.
have to see. Yeah, that was going to be my other answer. Is like Glacier National
Yeah.
Park.
Oh my gosh.
I went there this
Beautiful.
past summer, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was just so crowded. Like, and I feel it's like what can you do? They already have like a ticketed entrance pretty much,
Right.
Where you have to reserve parking and stuff. But then you have to drive around for an hour to find a parking spot and all this
Wow.
stuff. So
Yeah.
it's just it's not what the pictures show you. You know, they don't show you the crowds.
They don't. Yeah, they don't do that.
So you took it upon yourself to take pictures of the parking,
Yeah.
crowds.
Mhm. I
ticket.
so just go check my blog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Link
It's kind
it,
of like
link
a.
GlacierisaScam.com.
And then other than that, probably like Six Flags over Georgia.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Is that Douglasville? Where's that at?
I don't know.
Who's to say? Our trip to Acadia was so sweet. It was such a short thing, but what a gorgeous area.
Absolutely.
Hey Ross,
You're up.
you're up, buddy.
I would say my favorite place I've traveled out of the country. It's hard to decide, not because I've been to a lot of places, but because I just like the different places for very different reasons.
Yeah.
I would have to say Tulum, Mexico. Rachel and I, my wife, went there 2 different times. One time right before we had our first kid, when she was pregnant. The first time we went there, she just described it. So it's like, if you don't know, Tulum is a place in Mexico that is, I don't know how many hours, but it's like hours away from Cancun. Maybe it's like 2 hours.
Yeah.
We fly into Cancun and then you drive to Tulum. And at that point, it was like up and coming kind of place where you have just this road that is right. It goes along the beach, and then there's just like a jungle right there, like on the other side of the road. So it's like jungle, road, beach. And then there's all these like outdoor restaurants. The first time we went, it was just barely a glimmer in Kylie Jenner's eye. Like she had been there and, you know, took the pictures, whatever. And so it started to be like a young person hotspot.
Yeah.
But it was still cheap at that point. Still cheap, like all the restaurants. We went there again 2 years later, and it was totally different. Like all of the restaurants were like incredibly expensive.
Wow.
To the point where, like, this was after COVID, so maybe people were like rebounding with their prices. Maybe just more well-off people started to go there. But the trip cost like way more than the first time,
Right.
and we were there for less time the second time. So I don't know if I'll ever go there again,
Yeah.
but it was beautiful. Like the water and the beach are perfect. We stayed right on the beach last time. It was wonderful.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to Tulum for our honeymoon, and we kind of did like we had a couple days at an Airbnb, and then for us with Airbnb, it can be kind of hit or miss. Like
Totally.
So when we go on a trip and we have some days at an Airbnb, we try to like also do some kind of hotel setup just in case something is like going terribly wrong with the Airbnb. You have some kind of like option B, and so but the hotel that we had paid for was like a nicer one, and when the whole honeymoon got canceled, they were like, yeah, well, like you can use this money towards the other like hotel in our chain, which is in Cancun, and significantly more expensive. And we were like, yeah, well, let's just do a refund. Like like this was early pandemic, like no one really knew what was going on. And they were like, oh yeah, totally. We'll just need like your address, your bank account numbers, all this stuff. And we were like, that feels sketchy. Can you refund the card? And they were like, no, wire right now. I'm like, I guess we'll just take the other hotel. I don't know. So yeah, I think we have some kind of credit to a hotel in Cancun now, which we also haven't used. But
Boys trip?
yeah,
Boys
I mean,
trip.
let's go right now. We'll do remote podcast.
Yeah.
We're going to stop here and we'll pick up.
See y'all in Mexico.
Yeah, see you in Cancun.
Well, JPO, I'd love to hear your answer, but maybe this would be a good segue to some of your story of why you are so well traveled and how you wound up on the road.
Yeah. So I was in college. I was studying accounting, and I was at Georgia College and State University in Milledgeville, Georgia, and
What's their mascot?
Bobcats.
Hey, go Bobcats.
Yeah, go Bobcats. There you go. And so I was trying to recruit for the Big Four accounting firms, and most of those people do not recruit at the time from Georgia College. I'm sure they do now, but at the time they were like, "Oh, we only recruit from UGA."
What are the big four? Give them to us.
Yeah, so we have PwC,
Of course.
Ernst & Young, Deloitte, and
KPMG.
KPMG. There we go. Flex on us a little bit. Yeah.
Wow. Is that because Matthew works for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of set you up. That was like the alley-oop moment. You dunked. Full-on performance. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to transfer to UGA. Like, if that's the career path I want to go down, let's go. So I get there, and I was telling my dad, like, yeah, I'm going to transfer to Athens. And he was like, you're not just going there to do music, right? He's been fully supportive my whole life. There's no, like, and, but at the time, I really was going for accounting. So I get there, and they were like, yeah, you're going to have to start all over to graduate in accounting. And so
How far in were you at this point?
So I'd done 2.5 years. Yeah,
Dang.
and
That's hard to hear.
Yeah, and they were like, so basically, I would have been in undergrad for 8 years, which is not really what I wanted to do. And my friends were starting a band, and I was like, well, I would love to play guitar with you guys, but they didn't. They never asked me. They would just get home from practice, and I would turn my amps on and play as loud as I could. I was like, hey, let me join. And eventually, they had set up a first show in the warehouse that we had at the time, and they really needed a guitarist, and no one else could do it. I'm sure anyone else would have, but no one else could make the show happen. And so I was like, you guys, I could really play guitar for you guys. And so they asked me to join, and from there we started touring a good bit. And
Are you still juggling school at this point?
yeah, I was still I transferred into marketing. And so we started touring a good bit, still doing school, and then I graduated with a degree in marketing right before our first 6-week tour, like one that I would have not been able to do with school. So it was kind of like right in time for us to really hit the road, and then we toured heavily from like 2014 to 2019.
True.
Yeah, and that was really fun. I got to see a ton of cities that I never would have just traveled to. See a lot of the country that I really, really love. And again, just I would not have probably ended up in Omaha, Nebraska, and it's one of my favorite cities. And same with Des Moines,
No.
and all these really cool spots with incredible coffee shops and great roasters, and people that I got to formulate relationships with. And I think that's one of the things that really got me hooked on the coffee scene is going to each city and seeing how they do things differently, what they value, and a pulse on who the city is, the culture, through the eyes and lens of a coffee shop is really, really fun.
It's that's such a great time window for that too.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to get that again where who now are staples in a city, were really cutting their teeth during that time and
Right.
becoming the brands that are who they are and anchoring themselves. So
Yeah.
Omaha, really, that's crazy to me.
It's funny.
Some love for the Midwest.
Yeah,
Des Moines.
There's this brewery there, great brewery, that has the best kale salad I've ever had. And it's just one of those things. I would not go back to Omaha for the kale salad, but it's not the last thing I would do in life. That probably falls in the middle of my bucket list. Go back for that kale salad.
Come on.
Hit that up.
But if you happen to be in Omaha,
Oh yeah, I'm
You're
going
going.
there. Yeah.
you know what's up.
Yeah.
What were some of your, looking back now, I mean, we'll get to your present and what you're working on now,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
looking back to your time touring, did you know that you were getting the bug or starting to become interested in having a coffee company or a coffee shop of your own one day, and were you drawing certain inspirations, and if so, maybe what were some of the things that you were learning at the time, if you can recall?
Yeah. So I've always wanted to have a coffee shop. That's been a long-term goal, and I think it's evolved from when I was a kid to now, and what I kind of saw that as, and how it could be facilitated. But when I was a kid growing up here in Roswell, it was like Land of a Thousand Hills was the neighborhood shop, full acoustic night coffee shop, what you think of in the early 2000s kind of coffee shop environment. And that was just one of those things that I had always wanted. At the time, I didn't like coffee when I was, a 10. But it was I wanted that environment of my own, somewhere where people felt welcome, somewhere that you could kind of be yourself inside of and feel comfortable doing that. And at the time, that was overstuffed couches and blended coffee drinks and an acoustic night on a patio kind of thing. And then ramping into like touring and stuff, it was like seeing all of these different walks of life that found a place in a coffee shop, whether it was like coffee aficionados who were like really going in there and like might be a little more off-putting at times, to the like more approachable baristas who were like really cool and you could sit and talk to for 30 or 45 minutes and just really like lose track of time. And so, yeah, I think through my life, the experience I've had at coffee shops and what I would want one to be like someday have changed, but the end goal to have a shop was kind of like always there. And so, yeah, traveling across the country and seeing all these shops, like picking up little pieces of what I wanted, and things that y'all do too, like over at Minotti's, how they have in Venice, how they have the like secret menu behind a picture, like things like that are just fun little Easter eggs that make for a cool experience. If you're looking for them, you can find. Yeah.
I love that. I love how those Easter egg things, if you're looking for it, it's cool.
Right.
If you're not looking for it, it's
Don't worry
if you're
about
not looking for it and you see it, it's almost an inconvenience.
Right.
It's like if whoever is coming in just for like a drip to go because they're like late
Right.
and on the way to something, like they just want to get in and out, and that's great. But I think that like if you're looking for it thing is interesting. It's like a big part of it.
Yeah, and I think that y'all encapsulate a lot of those really cool values and really cool experiences where like anyone can find a home in your cafe. Like you don't have to be going in there for like the craziest coffee experience. But if you are, then you can find a really cool drink, a great bag of beans. Like you can get all of that. But if you're just looking for like a drip to go, like you're just walking, like you can also get a great cup in that sense. And so, yeah, I think it's fun there when you can create an environment that everyone feels welcome in. So, yeah.
My
There
stomach.
we go.
hungry?
That.
Can we close mic that?
Yeah. ASMR that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And this may be jumping the gun a little bit, but
Jump it,
I'll
baby.
let it fly. Essentially, what did you learn from touring that you feel like you're applying now to Meadowlark?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
You know, because like you're working for someone, but it's also your band, right?
Right.
But and you know, like touring around, I'm sure there's some like degree of similarity to working behind a bar in the sense that you're
Yeah.
like grinding and going like late or whatever or early.
Yeah.
But what do you feel like you've learned that you're transferring to Meadowlark?
I think the main one is like when you're working solo behind a bar, you can't just go use the bathroom and it's the same as in a van with 7 people. It's
Amen.
like you can't stop every single time.
Your ability
so,
to hold
Yeah.
it.
Liquids.
Yeah, I think that's
That was the first thing that came to your mind. Wow.
main one. Yeah, I had that prepared actually. Yeah, cross that off.
Bathroom reference. I'm the worst at that, by the way. Anytime the
dude.
three of us take a trip, I don't know what happened, but
Yeah.
every couple hours, I'm like, hey,
Couple of hours. I feel like it's a little bit.
20 minutes? What? 25?
I gotta pee
Yeah,
again.
and it's one of those weird things where you're like, you don't want to be that person. You know, you don't want to make everyone stop, but sometimes you have to.
Sometimes.
When we I do like the majority of our tour managing work and like building our timelines based off of routing and whatnot. And yeah, for every 3 hours of driving, you got to factor in an extra hour just for pit stops.
Pit stops.
So
How many people were in the band?
So we perform with 7, and you know at any
Big band.
Yeah.
What's
Real-
the instrumentation there? Like, what's the lineup?
Yeah, so we have 2 drummers, a bassist, lead singer, a guitarist. Then I just play guitar, and then we have a female vocalist who also plays piano or guitar. And then we bring out like friends and stuff, people who want to play music too. Like sometimes we'll bring out friends to also play synth.
Djembe
horns.
ever?
Yeah, djembe's up there. So yeah, if you're looking, we always have an extra
Okay.
slot for djembe.
He plays.
Yeah, I play djembe.
Yeah.
Dabbles.
Yeah.
I
And
play with Jay Thomas.
and then we'll also bring significant others, wives,
Oh.
girlfriends, stuff out.
Did Summer ever get to go on a tour with you guys?
Yeah, she went on a good bit.
Well, did she do photography for you ever?
Yes, a lot. If she came out, she would take photos. We typically brought our friend who now shoots a lot bigger bands than we ever were or will be, and so she would come out with us and shoot, depending on how long she could be out or whatever, and that was always really fun. There are a lot of those fun memories captured that way. But yeah, so I think if I maybe were to make a more serious answer to your question, I think that you're behind a bar and also on tour, you get to meet so many different types of people, like all different personality types, all of it, and I think that one of the things that maybe taking away from both of those experiences is like you may interact with someone for 5 minutes, like minimum 3 minutes if they're just like in passing, but the impact that you can make in those 3 or 5 minutes can be a lot bigger than the small microcosm of your interaction that you're there with. So I think it's important in both of those things to treat everyone with kindness, because it can be a lot bigger of an impact than you may think. And I think, again, something that y'all do really well in your cafe is making each person feel important when they walk through those doors, and something that I think you should be doing always, but on tour and in a cafe, it's an important part of each interaction.
Were you guys, what was your travel setup? Like, were you on a bus or a vans?
Yeah, never got the bus life. We bought a E350 and 5x8 trailer when we went out to South by in 2015. And yeah, it's one of the, I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but when you are looking at buying a car or just any of that, or starting to notice something small, you see a lot more of those around you. And that's how, we were joking, we're going to see a lot of, white vans out at South by. And, I mean, it is, millions of these, E350s out there at the time. It was, just wall-to-wall E350s. But, yeah, it's we got that then, and we got a pretty good deal on it, and we've been traveling in that ever since. And it's a 12-passenger, but 12 is really pushing it.
Yeah.
Especially on a longer tour, 7 or 8 is kind of all you really want in there.
Sure.
For the 3-month tour we did, 7 felt like it was a lot at times.
Do you guys mind if we have a guitar corner real quick?
Oh yeah,
I was expecting it to go here, so
Okay.
you guys make it fast.
All right. make it fast.
Let me ask something really quick. Are you guys still writing / touring?
Yeah, so touring, not so much currently. We just finished a new record, got the masters back and all that, kind of planning what that whole phase looks like. And kind of based off of that, no real tour plans currently, but I think everyone is excited about the thought of playing music again. We had a couple tours canceled at the beginning of COVID, and we all kind of thought oh yeah, we'll push those back to the end of the year. Fast forward 2 years later, none of those shows have come to fruition yet, but we'd taken 2019 off to write the record. And then we played 3 or 4 shows that year, but then COVID happened, and we were trying to figure out how to how as the 5 guys who were like the main writers of the band, how we could write together in a room and feel comfortable. Some people were a little more cautious of COVID. Some people were not as cautious, and so trying to just like figure out where all that kind of lands and how we could comfortably get in a room. So yeah, we finished the record in 2021, and have just kind of been sitting on it. So
Nice.
yeah, it's
That's
been
awesome.
fun. So, but we're all musicians in here: guitar, djembe.
Djembe.
Yeah.
Guitar, djembe.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, so in your writing process, and this is good because it's fresh. You just did it.
Yeah.
What so I bet you contribute more to the writing process than just guitar parts, right? But like specifically as that role, like as are you like the only guitarist, or are there multiple?
Yeah. So our lead singer Mike also plays guitar.
Okay.
And he writes all the songs. And so we've kind of taken like different variations on that theme over the years. The first EP was like he brought all the songs, and then we fleshed out our individual parts. And kind of similar to the second one, there was like he had the core songs, and then we kind of like wrote some together, and then wrote all of our parts to the ones he'd written. And then it's become more collaborative over the years. And on this most recent record, 2 of our friends who are producers helped write a lot of the parts, helped write a lot of the guitar lines. And so there were like at any given time kind of like 4 guitar oriented minds on a track. And so it's been cool seeing kind of like the full scope of that thing. And especially in like a group of 5 guys, everyone kind of like has their input in different parts. And if someone's hearing something, like it definitely makes the process take longer, but we kind of go through each of those ideas. Like, okay, you really want like to have this theme come through in the bridge or bring this back. Like, what would that look like? How would we get into that section? How would we get out and really flesh it out? And sometimes that can take like one full rehearsal day or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so everyone kind of has their hands in, and this one was more, we'd written these songs and ideas for songs in like 2019, and then our lead singer Mike had kind of taken the majority of those and fleshed them out on his own, and then brought them back more realized, especially since we couldn't get together as much during the pandemic. He had definitely like created something out of like a lot of the puzzle pieces that we'd put together. And also, I mean, he's a great writer, so he had done a ton of legwork. I mean, those demos that he had put together were very impressive for the like small pieces that we kind of laid along the way. So
Whenever you're writing, like let's say someone else comes up with an idea and then you execute it, like you actually play it. What role are you trying to play in that moment? Like, are you just trying to kind of like almost as like a hired gun, like play it exactly as they kind of would? Or are you always trying to put your own spin on whatever's happening? And how do you do that?
I think a little bit of both. There are definitely those times where it's like they have a vision, and like you really should just execute as is. And I'll always like put a little bit of my own like spin on it. Most of the time that's just adding like 3 delays and a reverb. But the a lot of times it's like what they are voicing better suits what's happening.
Yeah.
And you know, I find myself, especially in the live situation, like kind of building something different than what's recorded,
Right.
kind of taking a spin on it. But on the recording, and I think if someone's like really passionate about it, there are times where it's my role to serve that more than what I want to play, which has taken me years to kind of be able to do, because like in my mind, I like that kind of strong creative like I'm a 2 on the Enneagram, but like moving into the 4 realm, like really pushing into something where I'm like, I want to play this. I'm the guitarist, you know?
Yeah. Well, especially if you're like, this is my band, you know, like
Right.
this is the one place I should be able to play
Right.
what I want to.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't think that we have said the name Family and Friends
Oh, yeah.
this entire time. So if you're listening and you want to listen to JP's music, Family and Friends.
Family and friends.
So yeah, I think it is important in both roles to kind of like be able to have a place to express maybe like your artistic voice, but also like the people in the band are all very talented musicians too, and have valuable input, and sometimes you're like a conduit for the voice of the band, and sometimes you're like really amplifying your own voice through it. But yeah, as far as like, I don't write any of the lyrics. I'm a horrible singer, so I do not sing.
Hey,
No, actually, test. Go ahead.
Let's hear it.
Give you a little something.
Throw some verb on that.
But yeah, y'all play guitar as well.
Ross much more than I. I am mediocre,
Okay.
but Ross is great.
Well, you didn't say you're bad, so I know you're not at least bad.
Borderline bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're good at theory. Like you know how music works.
I know how music works.
I think your ideas in your head are awesome. I think that your fingers just need to catch up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playtime.
That's encouraging.
I'm better at bass than I am at guitar.
Okay. But I mean, having a bassist that's good at theory is like,
Money.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
And you play a lot.
I do.
Your church and wedding still?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And personal. I feel like you just like to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was playing last night. I've kind of gone in and out of it. But I started playing in like 8th grade because my sister wanted to. I started playing for 2 reasons. One, my dad really wanted me to learn Led Zeppelin songs.
Oh, yeah.
Because he loves Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And so I did too. And then my sister like was, to say that she loved Taylor Swift is an understatement. Like she's
she's
was
a Swiftie
Yeah.
stan?
she was, yeah, she's a Swift stan.
Swift
right.
stan.
So we would just sit there with, my acoustic, and like I'd put a capo on and we'd learn Taylor Swift songs and
that's
record
so
them
good.
on our massive desktop computer with the built-in microphone that was like in the.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I really want to find those recordings.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I started, and like I said, I've gone in and out of it with different seasons of life. Like when we were starting Valor, and we were all working a lot of hours, I just did that.
Yeah.
That's all I did. And then basically like completely stopped playing, it seemed like, for like 6 months or a year. But now I'm playing like pretty much a lot. So,
Yeah.
but I've been really enjoying it lately. It's been very fun.
Yeah.
Let me try to guess what guitar you play.
Oh, come on now.
And I want you to guess too. Okay. I'm sure you have.
Yeah. Dude, don't just sit back for this one, okay? If you don't mind.
He doesn't play djembe.
All right, Grandma,
so
you sit back.
you don't play djembe, right? Anyways,
This could get offensive. Like if you just are completely off base with your guess.
Thinking Schecter, Floyd Rose. Okay, I know you have multiple guitars,
Guilty.
multiple electric guitars,
Guilty.
but you mostly play. Do you mostly play one guitar, or are you like, okay? Does it have humbuckers? Mm-hmm. I knew that.
Okay.
Is it a Gibson style guitar?
No.
Dang it.
I'm guessing something offset.
Okay.
Come on, keep going.
Reverend?
Warmer? No. I do love Reverend guitars, though. Those are great ones.
Is it a jazz, like some sort of jazz master type of thing?
Is it like a mod job? Like you have like a.
So,
all right, what is it?
So I have a Jaguar with humbuckers. It's like the classic player. I got it for a couple $100 off Craigslist. but it really feels like home. The neck is like perfect. And it is Jaguars have all those switches, but with the classic player, those switches are coil tapped. So you can go single coil, humbucker. And I haven't really modded it in any way. My bridge pickup went out on tour, and Chicago Music Exchange dropped in like a new something in the bridge. I had a cheap pickup in my case, and they were like, we have this better one we'll throw in for free, and they fixed that up in one day, which was incredible because we had to get back on the road.
You were already in Chicago. That's cool.
Yeah.
You got to go to one of the most like famous music stores in America.
Yeah. And they're just like, their repair shop is incredible.
Bar none?
Yeah, bar none. I would absolutely take anything to them and feel comfortable with it. And even when I got a 68 Fender Coronado, and when I got that, cool. I was like, I just need to call and pick your brains on what I need to do with this, because I really trust them, and they also have like a great vintage program. But yeah, I don't know what that bridge pickup is now, but it sounds great, and that's all I really care about. And for me, in traveling with the band, it's like I don't really want to take anything like crazy valuable out. So the fact that I got that guitar for cheap and can feel comfortable bringing it out on the road really kind of does it for me. Yeah. On top of the fact that it just feels like home when playing it. So I also have a Telly and a SG that I bring out that I love those as well. But the Jaguar is kind of the home
staple.
Yeah, absolutely.
My turn.
All right, enough.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I got two questions.
Okay.
I thought you were going to share your gear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm working with is
He's sitting on a gold mine over here.
So much gear to talk about. As being a father, husband, business builder, has another job, writes music, do you still find time to do you like listening to music and setting aside time to listen to music?
Yeah. I think currently in like the scheme of things, especially with Larkin, like I play a lot of acoustic guitar with her, and we do she loves music. So anytime like man, if I rip out Hey There Delilah, she's gonna start dancing. There's just no two ways about it. And so, but overall, I feel like the actual playing of it, and I don't know if you experience the same thing, but the playing of music, especially amps, like really has fallen like lower on my like day-to-day list of activities. But yeah, we listen to a lot of music.
Anything you've been excited about lately? You've been listening to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really into Andy Schaaf. I don't know if y'all are Andy Schaaf fans, but man, well, now I look really cool. So he's an incredible singer-songwriter, and he plays, I think, all of the instruments on his album. So, which is also impressive. But like the production is really, really cool. There's like kind of an old school like 70s-ish theme to a lot of it. Phase guitars, great acoustic sounds. Yeah, and he's also a really cool storyteller in his songs. So not like maybe Johnny Cash style storytelling, but the albums all kind of follow this like arc of a story, and he has some really funny like Easter egg lyrics in there that like you just like if you're listening to are pretty hilarious. But he's also not like Flight of the Conchords stand-up comedy music. It's like he has they're all incredible songs, like really well arranged and produced, and then it also like if you dive into the lyrics, there's some really funny moments. So yeah,
Andy Schaaf,
big Andy Schaaf fan.
Check him out.
Yeah. How about y'all? What are y'all into these days?
It's very different than that, but I've been listening to this the first LP of the band called Bayo that's been with this company for a while.
It's been with this company.
Thanks for sponsoring us, Bio.
Well, we've put a song on one of our things. They're one of their songs on one of our videos before, and I feel like we always play them in the shop. So
Yeah.
just to hear a full length has been fun, but it's more like definitely borders on like electronic house,
Cool.
pop kind of world. But that's just what I've been listening to in my spares.
Yeah.
Walters.
Yeah, I always got to check I almost said Shopify. My Spotify.
Big businessman.
Oh, I really like My Morning Jacket's new record.
Oh, yeah.
They're self-titled.
I have not listened yet, but I do love My Morning Jacket.
It's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of like 70s mojo,
Yeah.
like that is just like the best word to describe their music,
Yeah.
mojo. Because
Yeah.
it's just like dripping with this like
Dripping.
vintage mojo sound.
Yeah.
And it always, the thing I love most about My Morning Jacket and Jim James is just that all of his songs sound like they were like hits in the 70s
Right,
or
right.
60s. They all sound like they are like covers of
Yeah.
songs that were like actually hits. And I don't know, I just love how it sound like it progresses in some ways and modernizes in some ways, but for the
Right.
most part, it just sounds like fresh takes
Yeah.
on like a really vintagey sound. So yeah, I've been listening to that record a lot. I'm kind of worn out on it, honestly.
Yeah.
And so I've just re-listened to like the rest of their discography.
Yeah.
And it's really great stuff.
Riley, my man.
So I've been listening. I don't really have anything new by any
Yeah.
means. I've been listening to that second. No, I'm just kind of like Wyoke, all of their
Oh, yeah.
their first few albums.
I need to re-listen to Wyoke.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's funny now. I think back in that time we didn't have a term for singing in cursive. It's a little cursive-y, but I mean musically it's just great. And that Young the Giants second album,
Oh wow.
Yeah.
The one with like crystallized.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Love
just
that
like one of my favorite albums ever.
one. Yeah. Me too.
And like Brooks and Dunn.
Come on.
That's my those are my
You're really
recent listens.
running the gamut there.
Yeah, well,
I've been eating up some Hank Williams Jr.
You
too.
have.
Okay, yeah.
junior or senior?
Both.
Wow.
But Junior lately because I grew
Okay.
up listening to it, and John Denver too.
Oh,
Been loving it.
yeah. We Joel, who you have recently had on the podcast,
Sure.
turned me on to Petey as well. Y'all listen to Petey?
No.
Dang, dude.
Yes.
Hey, how do you find Joel's music? Is it under Joel Norman on Spotify?
Isaac and Joel.
Is what it's under?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it.
And they recently released 2 songs, and they're both really great. I mean, recently within the past year, not like within the past 2 weeks, but yeah, he told me about this artist Petey, and he is like kind of everything that I love. Like he has really great synth moments that are very fun pop. He has he yells, which I also like yelling. So he kind of like verges that like synth, but also kind of like indie rock, also kind of emo. And yeah, very fun music. And he has like an Instagram, like I think he blew up on TikTok for like his comedy skits. But then he also just has an incredible band called Petey. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get to my second question.
Yeah. Sorry.
But
My bad.
I will say, I said Bio, but if I actually was thinking about what I listened to the most, I probably listened to our friend / coworker Elijah Knapp's piano music.
Yeah.
That's just like,
My stomach just keeps. Sorry.
it's just in my ears a lot when I'm doing
It's really
things.
He
Yeah.
is, I think, from y'all posting about him and sharing his like stuff and him being a part of the team, he's an incredible musician. Like, very, very impressive.
Yeah. It's very pleasant to listen to. And sit there and contemplate it or do something else while you're listening to it. But my next question was you talking about the songwriting touring process of being in like a more of a collective group.
Yeah.
And now you're basically doing a business by yourself, more or less. And maybe if I'm wrong there and how much Summer is involved, I'd like to know.
Yeah.
How are you like considering bringing on partnerships to that? Are you comfortable in the collective, or like in your time there, you're like, you know what, I think it actually might be really healthy for me to make all the decisions myself and make something that's very true to form JP?
Yeah. So I am very aware of my limitations. There are a lot of things that I like do not need to handle. A lot of things that are above like my pay grade. I love making coffee. I really enjoy the customer service experience. Like those are all things that I'm excited about being a part of. But as far as like the rest of the like business and all the facets that come into there, like I definitely think other people should be lifted up and have a voice in it. Currently, I mean, Summer does so much for it, and the design and like the marketing and a lot of the business decisions too. Like I'm very emotionally driven, and so I can very quickly be like, no, we need to do like this, and this, and she's like, that doesn't make sense. So maybe we reel it back just a little bit and make it like this, which is really helpful. And also pairing up with where we've done the pop-up so far, Enemies of the Average in Gainesville. Jenny, who's the owner of that, is like a incredible mind as well to bring in for design and everything. And then we also have another person who works with Jenny. His name's Trey. He has like his own software sales career and everything, but he's also like a really great mind, especially because like before us popping up in the Jackson building where he is, it was like he wasn't a coffee guy at all, but he's excited and a huge cheerleader for any of his friends, but also thinks he's passionate about. And so I think having like a lot of minds in the table or in a lot of cooks in the kitchen maybe can be really helpful to grow. And I think it's kind of similar to the band and having like a collective of minds. Like certainly there are times where someone needs to take the reins and be the like leader of that to get things done. But elevating the voices of the people around you to have something to say, to offer what they're great at, I think can be really beneficial to growth. And again, there's so many things that I'm just like that does not make sense to me, and there's no reason that I should like kind of push myself to the front and push you down when it could be so much better if we really just focus on your talents. So I think right now in the actual like legwork of starting a cart and actually like being there to make the coffee and all this stuff, like that makes sense for me to be the one to do it. But everything behind the scenes is a lot bigger than me. And while I have the vision for what I want in a coffee shop, my vision is maybe a lot of the like bigger picture, and all the small details I like can quickly lose sight of, and other people are a lot better at sorting those things out.
Heard that, bro.
Yeah.
Heard that.
Heard that too. What does Larkin add to the business? I've heard a lot about Summer and Jenny, but not a lot about Larkin.
Yeah, Larkin runs the show. I mean, she's kind of the boss. She's not afraid to yell when things get intense. She's kind of like the Gordon Ramsay of Meadowlark.
And she doesn't have to take bathroom trips either, right?
No,
you know,
no.
Speaking
I mean,
of,
she just kind of
learning.
takes care of it right there, and that's something I'm also learning from her. So it makes my job a little.
You're learning
easier.
so much about like bathroom stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like,
This is the Bathroom Stuff podcast. I'm in the right room, right?
you are a student of the bathroom.
Yeah.
What what has your career in coffee looked like? We hit on
Yeah.
some of the music related things, but
Yeah.
you also have an esteemed
Oh.
coffee career. So,
Is that a steam pun? Or
well, maybe infamous.
yeah.
Yeah.
Notorious.
Incredulous.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gregarious.
This is all news to me. So thank you. So I started when I was in college at Jittery Joe's in Athens, and that was kind of another one of those places where like Summer and I were always going to study, and it kind of felt like more or less a home for us where we could like go and get stuff done and drink coffee, and that was like before a lot of my experiences in the specialty world. That was like 2013, and so I wanted to work there, and they didn't really have any bar jobs, and they were like, well, you can, like, if you want to work, you can deliver all of our like supplies to all of the shops, which are like smoothies and like the smoothie mixes, and powders and syrups and all that stuff that you think of going along with their company. And so I started doing that, which was a pretty funny situation, and I don't question a lot of things. I kind of just go along with it. And at the time, the guy told me like, yeah, you need to deliver 6 cartons of the strawberry banana smoothie. And I was like, it was like 10 o'clock at night. It's like, I can't call this guy, but like, is 6 cartons like the physical cartons, or is it like 6 cases? So I get a call the next morning, and he was like, no store would ever go through 36 cartons of this smoothie
You went
mix
cases.
in a week. I went the cases route.
Yeah.
I would do
over-deliver.
the same thing. I'd go more than less, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I went and picked those up the next day. And so from there, I kind of, once a spot opened up behind the bar, I started working there. That place had a drive-through, as well as like a standard thing. So
Pretty high volume space.
yeah, real high volume.
Never been.
Yeah. And
Sorry.
it's no, I do not take any offense to that. Real high volume, kind of keeping up with like the pace of a drive-through and in-store.
Sure.
At the time, things were they like 6 months after I started, they sent an employee out to like machine training and stuff, and that was when it was told within the stores that you need to take apart the group head to clean it. So, in one location, did not want to do that because that was where all the flavor was.
Yeah.
when they were
Like the
seasoned.
tannins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a cast iron.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like a case.
Just everyone knows that. So
Gotta season it.
from there, when I moved to Atlanta, kind of between weekend runs and tours and stuff, I was working for my family's print shop in Atlanta, which is off Howell Mill. And every day at lunch, I was walking over to Brash, like when they first opened. And again, just really loved that like interaction each day with those people. Was just like always a highlight of my day. And that was when I was like, okay, so I've had great specialty coffee on the road, and what I've experienced in Georgia is like Octane, which is great, and like
Carmelado. Right?
they I feel like Octane paved a lot of the paths for
yeah.
us, and so walking to Brash, I was like, this is what I have been looking for, the quality that I like have enjoyed. And even though I was still so fresh in the specialty scene, like, and I didn't really have quite the know-how behind the bar, I was ordering like a lot of stuff from the shops that I'd visited, and that was when I like slowly transitioned into Brash. They needed some like holiday help, and at the time, West Side and all of that was so different than it is now. Like Brash was still, we were like bringing board games into work kind of thing to like pass the time, and so that was.
Were you also doing like we'd always see you guys sorting your coffee.
Yeah.
Like picking out defects and
Picking out those defects those days. I don't know if they still do that.
I can't imagine that you
Doing
would.
it at that volume.
Yeah.
I feel like once you get to a certain point, you can get the laser guy.
Yeah, color grader thing.
Yeah.
That or what is that company that makes the crazy equipment that Black and White has? Sovda? Is that what it's called? You guys seen that?
No. What are you talking about?
They make a color sorter that is pretty nuts.
Yeah, pull it up.
I think it's called a Sovda Pearl Mini. That's it.
Hello.
I mean, insane piece of equipment.
Oh, I have seen these.
Are you tired of wasting time hand sorting Quakers and burnt beans? Yes.
Yeah. Say
My
no
goodness.
more.
That's all we do as owners of this thing.
It's true. We just sort coffee all
Yeah.
day.
I don't know. This isn't really working. Oh, there we go.
Wow.
Has a camera, and it just
And
it,
32 air splash valves.
that's a lot of air splash. But point being, it color sorts it for you, so you don't have to do all
Right.
that.
Well, what was the like working at Brash?
Yeah.
Because we would always see you guys. I'm still on sorting coffee.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not moving on.
Yeah, no.
What was? Because I would always see you guys do it and be like, "Why are they doing that?" Like, and like I get why you would do it, but like also I don't get it. Like, what was the narrative at the time that like pushed you guys to do that?
Yeah,
Like,
so
who was shaping that?
So I think that with each cup, and I don't know where the origin of it started. Like I don't know if the guy who was roasting when and the owner when Brash started, I don't know if he like really just couldn't nail down a profile or what. But he was all, like, that can't be right. I don't know. I don't really know where it started. I do know that we sorted a lot. We picked a lot of rocks, and so like that right there. Like no matter how many hours you spend on hand sorting coffee, like if you find one rock is like that's worth it for your equipment overall. And again, I don't really know if that was maybe, at the time it was like pretty much all El Salvador. I don't know if like maybe there were just a lot more rocks in that coffee or what, but we would find like a good couple a week.
So you were more trying to get the rocks out as opposed to like color sorting.
Well, maybe I'm just saying that to make it feel more important than it was, to not feel like I was in this.
Hey, we're on your side.
Were
man.
you guys were still like Brash was still, I don't want to say toll roasting, but using someone else's equipment at that point, right?
Yeah.
So probably didn't have a destoner.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, that seems like good reason to me.
Yeah, but also, in if you can get all of the defects out Quakers and burnt beans and whatnot, then you can overall get a better tasting cup. And whether like it's not like you would ever get a like one pull of espresso that was like 20% Quakers. Like it was never that many.
Sure.
But overall, if we're, I guess in a way like justifying it to be like, if you can get all of those out, you can get an overall better cup, then that makes sense. And certainly there's a lot of equipment that can do that faster. But
What? How long were you at Brash, and what were some of the things, or like 3 of the biggest lessons you took away?
yeah, so I was there from 2016 to 2019.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it was a good time, and I think that was working behind the bar in a specialty shop. You get to taste a lot of coffee, and especially because at the time there's like we were mainly only using El Salvador, Miguel Menendez's coffee there. It was like you can really taste the differences in like roast time and harvest year and all of that stuff. That was, I think, important. There are few places where I drank the same varietal bean from the same farm for such an extended period of time.
Yeah.
That I think helps with palate training.
That's a valuable thing.
Yeah, and I think that. So I think overall palate training was like a big one there. I also think maximizing workflow and space was big for Brash specifically because it, like, you know, it was the shipping container location. So it was like every single square foot has to be maximized or else. And I also think that, like, another one of the things for me and my customer service, like, experience is, like, it's a small space that can maybe be intimidating if you aren't, like, if you don't feel well versed in coffee. To come in there, like, everyone can hear every word you say.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't want to sound stupid. You don't want to sound like you don't know what you're talking about or whatever. And so making people feel welcome in a small space that maybe you could feel intimidated by, I think was also a big takeaway. And yeah, I mean, I remember y'all coming in all of the time, making the trip there, and
From Cumming or
Yeah.
Dawsonville.
Yeah.
Shoo.
and there was, I mean, at the time there were some great coffees there.
For sure.
Um,
Formative for,
Yeah.
I know, for these gentlemen.
Yeah, I kind of hold that as the good old days in a way. You
Right.
know? I will never forget coming in there and how you made us feel.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Wow, that is
Like,
really kind.
We would come in on a day and it's like you and Tanner. Is that his name?
Tanner was there, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and like that was just it'd just be great.
Well, thank you.
About to cry.
I know, dude. No,
me
I'm
too.
honestly getting a little emotional because I was like, man, we were just young. Like, I remember
yeah.
going in 16, 17, 18. I was just like, you just made me feel cool. You made me
Thank
feel
you.
like this was a place I wanted to be because someone was happy that I was there.
That is really kind. Thank you for saying that.
And to think now, like, that is honestly one of the biggest foundational pieces of our company.
Yeah.
It would be foolish to not give you credit for
Wow.
putting that, like, seed within us that's saying,
That
that's saying, like, yeah, we can do that too, or like that can replicate.
that means the world. Thank y'all for saying that.
That's true.
Thank you.
And I mean, you just have such a spirit of generosity and, like, warmth to the stranger. Like, if I think about you, I remember even sometimes when you would come visit the cafe or the cart and maybe someone on our team hadn't known you yet, and I would, like, try to figure out if they knew who you were. And I was like, yeah, it's like, he's the guy, he's like a little taller, always gives hugs and is, like, really excited to see everybody. And they're like, oh yeah, he did come by the other day.
Well,
I was like,
that's a legacy I can be proud of. Thank
yeah,
you.
you're the guy that gives hugs and is excited to see people.
I do
So
love hugs.
yeah, so thank you for doing what you did there.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember there were so many times where you and Rachel would come in working on, like, the design of the cart in that, like, little corner by the windows and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it, like, so obviously laying the foundation for something so huge. Y'all have done a great job.
Yeah, there was times where we would come to Atlanta and only go to Brash.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's all we did. Yeah, and that was enough. It
Yeah.
was just like we had to go there and get that single O cortado.
Oh.
You know, and I don't know. I think like you said, I kind of already said it, but it's just honestly rocking me right now. Having one coffee that, like, for such an extended period of time,
Right.
It's such a value. Like, we do that,
Yeah.
but with our blend, our
Right.
flagship blend, Free Throw. Like, we've had it on espresso ever since we've been roasting. It's never changed. But that's a blend, and so the components change.
Right.
So that's different. We always try to have the same flavor profile, but still, it's not the
Yeah.
same. Like, that's just, like, I want to do that. I want
Right.
to have enough of a coffee to, like, taste it for
Yeah.
its entire lifespan and shelf life.
Yeah.
Kind of feel that way about Finca Medina. Like,
Yeah.
this is one of the only times we haven't had that coffee.
It's true. Like, since we started.
And what was the reasoning behind not ordering that again?
It's just we ran out of it,
Okay.
and it's not back around
Okay.
quite yet. But we will order it again. And that's that Guatemalan natural.
Yeah.
That's usually the secondary of free throw.
Yeah.
Because if I like for a free throw to be that pea berry Brazil that we get and that coffee most of the time. But it is cool right now that free throw has an anaerobic in it. Like,
For sure.
Just
and
that.
you don't really see, and maybe we will more as like different processing becomes more prevalent across origins and across countries, and but it is I don't know many roasters that would put an anaerobic in there, whether it's from a cost standpoint of like a flagship blend or whatever. I think it's very cool that y'all do that. And I think y'all were some of the first, in some of the stuff you were posting, the first people that were like blends need to really be paid attention to. Like a blend should be able to stand out. Just because it's a blend doesn't mean we're using like blender coffee to like put in here. But there's like an attention to detail that should be greater than like what you experience as a blend.
Yeah, that's why I get so excited. We don't have one this season, but our seasonal blends that we do, where we can go even higher price point with them. And I think that we will really start to let loose with that when we get our new packaging in. When we can charge, if we start charging $18, $19 for 10 ounces of a blend, but it's two like really nice coffees together. You just get something super, super neat.
Y'all doing a spring blend?
Oh, yeah.
Last year's was
Swoon.
Swoon,
Yeah.
baby.
It was
Yeah,
great.
it was cool.
Yeah. Everything about our company right now is kind of just on hold because we are so close to releasing this rebrand.
Right.
It's coming on March 21st.
Come on now, 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
Three,
yeah.
2. Oh, that's nice.
Sam's releasing the kegs.
I'm gonna ask a question and then walk away because I gotta pee.
Yeah.
Man, I'm sorry. I'm just living up to my
Man.
my MO here. A guy that's gotta go to the bathroom. I want to know so Brash, and then how did you end up building a relationship with Joel and Charles?
Yeah. So at the time I was at Brash, Joel and Charles were coming in a lot. I was going to Chattahoochee a lot. And we also knew each other through, Joel and I knew each other through music. Just great people, and I think it's really cool seeing like maybe what I consider our generation of coffee people, like growing to do some great things. It's cool seeing that, and it's cool kind of hearkening back to when we were like visiting each other at different cafes. And Joel and Charles are people that I've always loved, always wanted to be in coffee with, and same with y'all. I mean, it's like just people that I've always felt connected to and have always been doing great things. I think something that I've seen from y'all and from Bellwood and from a lot of these people who similarly are starting something for themselves that they can be proud of. I think there's a different culture that values careers in coffee and sees that there's a way to make those happen, and it doesn't have to be like through putting other people down. It doesn't have to be through using others to see your end goal. It can be rising the tide so that all the ships can float. And be kind of a part of something bigger as opposed to just being like, yeah, there's a career in coffee for me, and y'all paved that way, and I can make all this money, and you can work until you get tired of it and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving a company that had been so formative for me, and something that I was so excited about doing, the Wholesale with Bellwood, was really encouraging, and it got to be to the point where I'd formulated these relationships, and I was excited to like geek out on coffee. And the wholesale world it's such an interesting thing to be a part of, because every roaster wants to wholesale, and you can work like months and months on an account, and they'll use you for a month, then roll on to someone else, and you're like, thanks for your time.
Thanks for your $300.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to trade any wholesale woe stories, this is the table, man.
There was one account that Joel was working on for a long time. We did like 3 visits to, and every time we just got like they ghosted us. Like the owner just would be like, oh yeah, I'm actually not in. And we're like, we've set this up for months. We'd leave like our whole lineup of bags for them, all this stuff. And they had like a larger name roaster in. And we were like, we can facilitate you better. These are all the ways we can serve you, doing our like both the sales side of the pitch, but also the relationship building side of the pitch. And yeah, just kept getting ghosted. And after like months of our time and coffee and all this stuff, it was like, just say no. just like, it felt
okay.
like Dobby, give us that sock, let me go.
Oh my gosh.
But that was a tough one. They never went with us. And then there have also been those times where we've, worked an account for months. They've used us a little bit and then reached back out about, upcoming orders and just get ghosted again. And it's like,
Yeah.
again, you can just tell us like, we're moving on. Thanks for the coffee. But sometimes those conversations don't happen. It's more just like they don't want to mention it. They just want to go.
Right.
What's some highlight action? Tuesday,
I mean, it's been incredible. Similarly, we've been friends with Andrew for a long time. I'm proud of everything that he's done. But this is one of those moments where you like get to see a friend like really shine and really do something that you've always known they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like encourage that dream and support it in whatever facilities we have. But he has done some incredible work there. And as y'all know, starting a cafe is never easy, and they really went through the ringer with some of the things over in Marietta. But man, they're crushing it. I'm actually doing a little guest shift there this weekend. They're going on a little vacation, so get to sling some spro behind the bar there.
That's
That'll be
awesome.
fun. How about y'all?
Wait, when are you going to be there this weekend?
Saturday, 7:30 to 4.
I'm not too far because I'm in like West Roswell.
yeah,
so
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, come on over.
7:30 to 4.
On that last note, pre Ethan's question about the highlight, I've started to just be very direct with people.
Right.
Because I've gone through that enough times to just because it's always in that stage of the sales process where you're like building the relationship, and it's like you think you're doing one thing, who knows what they think you're doing.
Right.
And so I have just like when you're in that point in the process, like you don't want to be too businessy, you don't want to be too like direct and upfront, you just want to be kind of like hanging out, like, so what's your vision, like blah blah blah, like learning their families' names and all this stuff. That's all great, but it's like I've just gotten to the point where like, so do you think you would ever want to use our coffee?
Right. What are your intentions with my beans?
It just seems so simple, but like people actually are not put off by that question ever.
Right.
And it's like if they do want to use our coffee, I'm like, great. For how long? Like, do you think you're looking to kind of use us as like an exclusive partner and we can really invest and we can do the contract and all this thing? Or is it like, are you just looking to have us on for like 2 months? Like,
yeah.
And asking those sort of questions, I don't know if it was just a confidence thing for me or what, but I would just be so afraid to ask those questions for fear of X or Y or Z, who knows. But I've just been really enjoying like being super direct with people lately, because I've just learned that that's one, it's the kindest thing for them to just like express intentions and be clear, because it's not going to waste their time. Because the worst thing ever is like a pesky salesperson.
Right.
Like no one wants that. And And so, I don't know if you've delved into that or if that's your philosophy too, but
Yeah, I've never been that direct, but I think that should be a takeaway for me. I think it's, when we first came on, I had like my like list of contacts, like shops that I was excited about and relationships I'd built, and we just sent out like sample,
Right.
try it, just get in front of people, and I kind of realized like that's one way to cast a wide net, and I certainly don't think that there's anything wrong with that approach, but definitely not the approach for us. I think kind of on the other side of things, it's for us, what's been most beneficial is like building a relationship, like seeing that end vision and how we can help. And if it's just using our coffee for a couple months, like they also have a coffee shop they're excited to run. I think that's a great thing to be a part of, but I think I should definitely be more on the direct side of like how long do you want to use us, those kind of things, because it can feel like rejection when you like really think you have something good going. They're like, oh yeah, we were only going to use you for a month anyways. I drove like a big order, like 3.5 hours. It's like, we thought it was like the first of many.
Yeah.
And I showed up and they're like, oh, you didn't have to do that. It's like, oh yeah, I don't mind. Like, they're like, okay, well, I'll see ya. It's like, well, I will drive 3.5 hours back home now.
You're going to roll out the red carpet
Yes.
for me.
It's like, at least pull me a shot of espresso. I don't
Yeah.
know. They were like, it's kind of old. It's not that good. It's like, yeah, okay.
Oh my
See you
Isn't
never.
that funny?
Yeah.
And it's always like, man, this turned into the who's our least favorite wholesale guy? Let's just give him a shout out. No, it's funny. Like some of the ones that you work the hardest on, nothing comes of it, and then some of the ones that you just, you drop a sample and they're one of your biggest accounts.
Yeah.
And that's the magic, is learning why.
Yeah.
Like, why did this one work effortlessly? And how can we just only talk to those people?
Right.
Like that's fine with me. There's a huge value to gain. I've seen it a few times. I haven't seen it a ton of times, but I think there's a huge value to gain in just persistence.
Right.
Of just following up and following up and following it up. Following.
Yeah. The word you're
Following
looking
up.
for.
You do
Yeah.
you do it enough times, you start mispronouncing it. But there's value in that, and that needs to be done. Like you said, casting a wide net and just be like, hey, checking in. That.
Yeah.
But like,
Like the coffee.
I would love to just only like figure out, man, what's the criteria of people that just like are plug and play,
Yeah.
ready to go. Like that's what I want.
Yeah.
We don't want to weasel something that shouldn't be beneficial for both parties, right? It's like, if you
Yeah.
don't want
Right.
us to be talking to you right now, please, let's just like end it, because nobody's having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've really loved about Tuesdays and Andrew is just he's a good human. Like, I really enjoy everything about him. Like, seeing that shop, there are so many details of that shop that are just like,
It's gorgeous.
it's perfect. And similarly, like you feel to me, you feel like you've walked into like a friend's kitchen and your friend just happens to have a really nice espresso machine. You're like, you feel more at home than, and I think that comes with the intentionality of what they wanted, and also the space they created, but the people that they are, where you're just like, you can feel that.
Very disarming.
And I think one of the things I was excited about with Joel and Charles in building this wholesale program, or the facilities that Bellwood has in helping other people's dreams come alive. Like, obviously it's us too. We benefit from it, but there's so many hurdles in starting a shop that people don't necessarily know of until they're like a couple steps in, and they're like, wow, this was a bigger undertaking than I could have imagined. And I think being able in our field and what we do on the roaster side is cool because we can help fulfill those dreams and make some of the maybe harder decisions or harder questions have an easy answer, and y'all can focus on whatever y'all want to, whatever needs your attention, and we can handle this and run with it. And yeah, I think it's cool in that sense, the position that we can play and on our side of things can make the other side a lot easier. And I think Andrew, they've just done a great job, and they're definitely one of those. At the end of the day, I feel very fortunate to be a part of, and that they brought us into their fold in that way. So
Yeah, they are very deserving of all of
Yeah.
their success.
yeah, they are.
Man, there needs to be more just like Valor Bellwood exclusive accounts.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a
Yeah,
co-branded type
share
of
it.
thing.
Yeah, let's call Andrew up right now. Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say we got to have him on, and then just only have Bellwood accounts on our podcast.
Yeah.
So if you just send us your list, we'll
Yeah.
make sure everybody gets a spotlight. Well, I don't want to leave JP hanging, but I also don't want to throw shade anywhere. But I mean, do you have any wholesale horror stories that you want to share? Because you said a couple. I don't want to leave them hanging out there. Man, we've had our ups and downs.
I think the stuffed. Okay, there's only been one time that I have refused to sell coffee to someone,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I'd be interested to see what you think about this. So, part of our wholesale philosophy is this is completely not original to us whatsoever, but it's just what we do.
Yeah.
We go pretty hard on the support stuff,
Right.
Like for free.
Right.
Like and the simple philosophy obviously is just like, we are going to sell you coffee, and if you use it for a while, like, we want you to serve it well,
Right.
because if your coffee shop is awesome, then that means you're going to sell more coffee, which means we're going to sell more coffee to you. So it's a
Right.
win-win. And the way to do that is like just asking the question, like, what makes a coffee shop operation great?
Right.
It's not just latte art. But it is that. It's not just good espresso, and it is that too. But it's also like how the space is laid out, and like the
Right.
vibe of the place.
Yeah.
And how happy the employees are, and like what the core values are, and all these sort of things. And so I think there's just been times where I have bitten off more than I can chew with that,
Right.
where like I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm hoping to like win the account
Right.
by like how much support I'm willing to offer, because they need me. Like, I know they need me.
Yeah.
I know they need us to
Right.
like, they could really benefit from like us training their baristas, or us, helping them lay out their bar, or like pick the right equipment. I know objectively that they would benefit from that, but they don't think that.
Right. Yes.
And so, because it's not consulting, it's like free support. I don't know what it is. It's a very gray area, and it can be often hard to define, the parameters of it and how much we're willing to do. And so I would say some of my biggest frustrations with that would just be where, like, I'm offering this advice, or I'm offering this support, but at the end of the day, like, our visions don't align and our values don't align.
Right.
And so while I may really value good service in a cafe, this person just might not.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so whenever I come in here with my good service hat and be like, I could teach your baristas so much about empathy and service, like, they're like, okay, I don't really
Right.
care. And so, like, I think what I've just learned is like I need to be able to read the room,
Right.
so that I can focus my efforts in the right place, as opposed to just like offering my entire life and expertise and just have them pick out like a vending machine.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
what has your experience been with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is kind of like what you're saying, meeting people where they're at, as opposed to being like here's everything I know, here's everything I can offer, here's all of this, and then they're just like, thanks, but like all I need is your coffee. All I need are, like, we just need coffee to put through our machines. And so I think for us, there are definitely those times where I'm like excited about, all these things over that Bellwood can offer, and that's just not really what they're necessarily looking for. I certainly, I think in some of my like early wholesale side of things where I was like, everyone needs to taste this coffee, everyone needs to get it, and like having like knocking down the door of someone who seemed to be interested, only to find out that they were like just being courteous.
Yeah.
It's like where I needed to learn, like you're saying, to read the room, where I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you tried our coffee, you've seen my house, you met my family. That never actually happened, but like you've tried our coffee. Like, you seemed kind of interested. You were nice in an email chain.
You
whatever.
responded to my email.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's not a green light. And then for me to take that as a green light, and then be like, okay, well, we can offer you like this. If you ordered this much coffee, here's this. Like, we can help you like lease equipment. This.
Mm-hmm.
And we can service your equipment, all this stuff. And they're like I don't need any of that. I'm not even gonna order coffee. You're like,
Yeah.
You just kind of feel like,
Well, then why the hell do we do all this stuff?
Yeah. I think you maybe feel like you made a fool of yourself by being so overbearing, right?
Uh-huh.
And so again, I think the ability to like read a room and understand, like, hey, I need to be open for you to come to. I need to make sure that lines of communication are here if you need it, but not like, there was one account where we all really thought we wanted it, and at a certain point they were just like, hey, here's like a list of reasons why like we really don't. It's like, that's on me. Like, we're never going to align, and that's okay. Like, you have a great shop. I still go to see the shop frequently, but they will not use our coffee.
Yeah.
That's okay.
How many times have we been like, oh, we got it in the bag? Like, go ahead and put it in like our numbers projections. I think we finally stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Because-
so we're gonna get when we get this account, then we get this account, and then because of that we'll get this account.
Yeah. And it's tough.
It is.
It's a tough business.
It's a tough world to run in, and especially there's so many people that like do great things. There's so many roasters that I love, that I order from, that I like am consistently a part of, that have great wholesale programs with their names in so many shops. And it's like, when you have that, it can sometimes feel daunting to be like, well, they're doing it, why can't we?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really grateful with Joel and Charles, especially when we started, and especially I came on the end of 2019, right before the pandemic, and it was like I don't know what I can do, because it feels like a weird time when every shop is suffering to come in and be like, well, I mean, you should definitely use our coffee.
Yeah.
Like,
would you like to change everything?
yeah, like, why not right now? And then also, like, on the other side of things, the empathetic side is like, these roasters work hard to be in this shop.
Yeah.
And they also need the support. And I'm not trying to displace anyone, but I would like to see you use our coffee. And so it was one of those weird times where, just had no idea what to do. And Joel and Charles were very understanding, and yeah, we get it. Like, let's just keep working these things, and eventually the consistency will pay off. And I think the same and especially one of the tough things with Meadowlark right now is what I want to be in any facet is consistent. You know, I want someone to understand and know that there's a dependability and a consistency that they can count on us, and especially in Meadowlark, one of the things that we want to do to build something greater is consistently be there. And because we are shut down by health department right now, consistency is not something we can focus on. I'm gonna pee.
Please.
Be right back.
I'm going to pose a question. And obviously, if we had the answer, we would be huge.
We are huge, bro.
Yeah, good point. What makes a wholesale? What makes a roaster and their wholesale program work when it is insert blank company in blank town that, you know, for many reasons shouldn't be. I'm not going to say they shouldn't be, but it's just like you scratch your head and you're just like, where did they come from?
Mm-hmm.
And they have an awesome product and they should be huge.
Yeah.
But how did they get to that? How did they get their platform?
Yeah, they're in like some small city somewhere, and sure their product's good, but everyone's product is good.
Yeah, and that's where I used to think we were when we first started. And I mean, obviously, some listeners might have an opinion, and ours might differ. But I used to be like, is it our coffee that's bad? I used to have that thought all the time, especially. Or, you know, when we first started, our coffee wasn't that great. We were roasting on a roaster that didn't have Cropster, and it was it wasn't a good product. And now I look at that and I'm like, did we send samples to a company when our coffee was that, and then now it's this and it's better, but they don't know that it's better? I'm just posing a question that, you know, I said if we knew the answer to it, then our companies would be massive. But what makes a particular roaster and their wholesale program work whenever they're just from some small town, and it just hits and it's great.
Do you have anyone in mind that you're thinking of when you say that?
Probably what's the one from South Carolina? Not methodical.
Junto?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Little Wolf
Brandywine.
Yeah.
or Brandywine.
Brandywine's I drink a lot of their coffee.
Onyx, Fayetteville's not.
They're all fantastic companies that deserve every bit of what they have.
Yeah.
It's just I want to know, you know, the path the path. What are the similarities between those? Is it good branding? I think that's probably most of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what it's not. Like, I think what you're alluding to here, maybe not saying, is like on a national scale is what you're talking about.
Right.
Like, and I'll tell you what it's not. It's like what I'm talking about, which is like support.
Yeah.
You know, they did,
Right.
Onyx didn't get the account in like Atlanta. They're in Arkansas. They didn't say, oh, well, we're going to sign a contract and we're going to be there 4 times this year to help you dial in your espresso and train your baristas. They're not doing any of that. Like, and I think this is kind of what we got into a little bit before we started getting way too busy, is like having just more digital content for people to consume, because like it's the reason why people start software companies and not coffee companies, because software is making money for you while you're sleeping. People are on a monthly subscription, whatever, and it's just the same principle. Like, people in California can be watching our videos on X, Y, and Z, whatever the topic is. And I just think that's part of it, is like, it's definitely not that like Brandywine has this awesome support program and they're super hands-on with the product in its last destination.
Right. And I think that it's a really fascinating side of things, and I've talked to a couple of people who have gotten close to working with Onyx on a wholesale program, and Onyx is also for me, they're a formative company, right? So when we're traveling through the Midwest as a band, I specifically remember like we'll pull into a city, and everyone and maybe the rest of the guys see this differently from my narrative of the story, right? But we pull into a city, and everyone's like, "So what do y'all want to do? We have like 45 minutes to load in," and everyone's like, "I don't know." And so, of course, I'm like, well, I know this coffee shop I've always wanted to go to. Like, let's roll over there. And so we always would, which I'm very thankful for. Again, they probably saw it differently. In fact, for Onyx, the story is like we pull into Onyx on our way out of the city to the next city to get coffee. And one of our drummers just starts screaming at me like, I don't want to go to all these coffee shops and spend $10 on a pastry that I don't want and get coffee, pay like more money for coffee that I don't need, and throws this big fit, runs over to Subway, and the rest of us like just kind of go in Onyx like. So anyways, next time we roll through Arkansas, same thing. We go to Onyx, and he gets out and he's like, okay, just like show me what like the big deal is, right? So we go in. They had a Ethiopia natural, I think it was Bombay on espresso, and I was like try this. Here's some sparkling water with it. Like here's how that play goes, whatever. And he was like, "Oh my God, I get it now. Like I'm so sorry I yelled at you last time, you know." And so Onyx is one of those formative companies. Like I think Onyx like does an incredible job. They're like, for the size that they are, the coffee they release and the packaging, like it's all on point. Their cafes look stellar. Like their wholesale looks great. But I know from the other side, like you have to sign like a year-long contract with them. Like you have to use them for a year. Their coffees are maybe more expensive than what we see ourselves as, and I think maybe it's not necessarily a confidence thing, but it's like in our mind, like we bend our rules to fit into
Sure.
your shop.
Yeah.
And Onyx is one of those people where it's like, okay, here are our demands. Like if you want to use us, use us. And I think that there's a duality there of this company that's like known globally. Onyx is huge, and then there are the people who want to get there. It's a tough little dance to play.
It's almost like just relating it to what we're going through right now. I'm totally going to get back to talking about Onyx and coffee.
Yeah.
But I was thinking the first the first time we went through like getting a lease for our first cafe, it was like we had no power. We were nobody's. It's just strapping a bunch of different sources of income together to like pay for this, getting the cheapest things possible. Had like no negotiation power in the lease. Fast forward to now, we have an established shop and we're looking to do a second cafe, and we're like talking to real estate people. We're like, well, we want this,
Yeah.
do this, and they're like, yes, okay, sure,
right.
And it's just there's something about reputation and like having some years under your belt. But when you first posed the question, it's probably saying it in just a synonymous way, but I'm like, for me, my thought is like, how do you just create desire? Because that's all it is.
Right.
Is like, it's that push and pull you're talking about. Like someone's going to be pushing, someone's going to be pulling.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be trying to make it happen. Someone's going to be like, walking away.
Right.
And so when you're small time, you're the one that's like pursuing, and then the other person is like by default put in that position of like just being naturally hesitant. And when I think about some of those companies we named, I'm like, okay, so the branding has popped off. Like all their bags are so distinct. And I know it sounds dumb, but it's crucial.
Yeah.
Just like the way your coffee's wrapped up can define everything. Like Methodical, for example, we didn't want to talk about them, but you know, hearing about them going into like G&B and Go Get 'em Tiger, I was just like, what?
Yeah.
How? What? That's
And
crazy.
it's by you totally aren't saying this, but it's not that their coffee isn't good. Their coffee
No,
is
no, no.
amazing.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All these people
It's just
deserve
everyone's coffee is pretty good
Sure.
at this point.
Yeah.
So it's
it. Yeah, I don't think anyone's made it to like a big platform where everybody's just like side eyeing, like,
nice.
dude, I'm talking.
beautiful.
Sorry.
It's okay. Nobody's like, oh my gosh, how did Methodical get this big? They're not even good. It's like, no, all these people deserve it. But it's
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
there's probably 100 people behind them being like, we deserve it too.
Right.
And another thing is like personality. I think Onyx, like their roaster is a personality. Bear, like their wholesale rep, is
yeah.
just like a personality. Will Shirts is like a personality. People are
Yeah.
like, I want to know this guy.
Right.
A big pull to being with Cat and Cloud was like, I want Cat and Cloud to know that I exist.
Right. Right.
And like, I want their wholesale person to call me. I want Chris Baca to like interact with me. So I'm going to keep buying their coffee. It's primal and it's simple, but I think it's a huge part of it.
I do too, and I think brand and bag design and all that plays a huge role. And I think with any massive company like brand and brand identity all really matter. And I think for me, I think Methodical kind of like pushed that in my mind of what bag design can look like and where that leads you. Because their coffee is great. Their cafes are wonderful. Like I love them. I love what they do.
But that bag, though.
Yeah. and you like,
Are they still rocking
immediately-
it, too?
They're still rocking
Oh,
it.
yeah.
That's
And
cool.
It is cool. And I think that what's really impressive is at the time there's like kind of the like 2010 like rustic vibe of like people were kind of going back to the brown bag stamp look, and then they come along with this like beautifully printed bag. It's like, where
Yeah.
did that come from? And it kind of, I think they changed that game in a big way. And then like Onyx's box design now is it's so cool, and they're like, when you order the 4-pack or whatever, and it comes in the fold out box, like they've just done a great job. And I think that it's inspiring. It's cool. You think about like, okay, so what can we do with our bags? And obviously like, all of these bag design companies have come up that make it easier for us all to get very well designed bags. But like, what image do I want to portray to someone who walks by and sees our bags on the shelves? And I think I'm excited to see what the new bags for y'all look like. I think your current bags do a great job of that, of conveying who y'all are, what you're about. Like you can put whatever type you want on there, but the amount of people that read the 2 paragraphs on the back are significantly less than the people that walk by and see that overall design.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's still that question at the end of the day of like how did they get there? Because like their coffee company Onyx is like what 100 times, 200 times bigger than what we're putting out, but is their coffee 100 to 200 times better?
We should just ask them.
Yeah,
Is your coffee better? They do have some amazing coffees.
Absolutely.
they do. Yeah, and they keep cranking them out. I think for Brandywine, one thing that I continue to order from them for is they're releasing like
A
3 new
big
coffees a
menu,
week.
yeah.
And
Oh my
it's
gosh.
cool. And they have their like different processing methods that are very cool. I don't always get into the like flavor added in the tank modified coffees, but as far as different processes, it's cool that it's available. But
That's
Yeah.
something I've always respected about you is you're just always drinking a lot of different coffees. Like you're always posting a bag on your Instagram story, and I'm just
Thank
like, this man goes through some bean.
yes, Summer talks to me a lot about it, about how much coffee I order. I just love getting to taste all these different things. I think it's the greatest asset we have in palate training when it comes to understanding what coffees can taste like. I think like I tried y'all's work at Sakara and then went tried one from partners in New York, and I tried like 4 different ones last year from different roasters. It's cool tasting coffee among roasters that are from the same farms and same processing methods, even different processing from the same farms. But yeah, I think maybe my bank account doesn't respect how much coffee I drink, but I do order a lot of coffee.
Well, you probably have a crazy. I'm sure I know you have a crazy good palate, and
Well, thank you. Thank
you doing that, it just helps Bellwood and
Right.
your company for that matter, and you know what you're up against when you're selling coffee.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
But I think even what you touched on is something that I'm going through right now too, with finding a space, because basically where we're at in the cart process is health code does not want a cart.
And this is Meadowlark.
This is Meadowlark. Yep.
Not
And
Bellwood.
So trying to find a space to lease, but we're also in food service, which makes spaces more difficult, which makes permitting more difficult, which makes all of it more taxing. And so trying to find
The sweet spot.
the sweet spot.
You
Like,
want to stay in downtown Gville best you can.
I would like to. I think that'll be important, and I want to. I think trying to find where that will best suit it. I think people will travel for coffee, but similar to y'all, like if you have that sweet spot of like crazy good foot traffic, but also like you can find good parking, you can drive up quickly, all that stuff is all very important. But yeah, I felt like I was playing by the rules there for a little bit with the pop-up scenario. And health department, they're pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
And I got cut.
If they don't like something,
And now you're dry.
Yeah, exactly.
well, I'm sure something will come up, even though we've definitely been in hopeless moments and hopeless seasons
Yeah.
in our journeys. And you're like, well, this is it.
Right.
It's over.
But
Right.
It's not over.
it's not over. There's always something.
Yeah.
In a positive way.
Yeah.
How would you like your company to be known in 3 words?
Yeah. I think kindness is like the first one that comes to my mind. It's something that I want everyone to feel when they come in. I would like quality to be up there, and simplicity. Like I think people are doing incredible things, and I want it to be like really thoughtful things done very well and presented in a way that's approachable to everyone, to where like, I think it's funny seeing our side of Gainesville in a light that doesn't necessarily know specialty coffee in their hometown. And to serve up like a honey rosemary latte and people be like, why are you putting rosemary in your coffee? It's like they just don't like maybe the greater consumer doesn't quite see that, but it's something that we experience from shops that we go to. Like I would like to be innovative and like kind of push the boundaries, but I'm also not trying to like push anyone like so far out that they don't feel like they can come in. So
Probably not going to start with a natural Ethiopian on espresso only.
yeah, though I would love that.
That sounds
It's one of
amazing.
the things I'm excited about the K30 for. Like obviously I want one hopper to be decaf, one hopper to be the standard espresso, but man, in my heart of hearts, I'm like, maybe I need one of those to be just like straight up anaerobic natural. Like
Cream
let's
chill,
get
yeah.
funky in there.
Speaking of methodical, that K30 twin.
Yeah.
It's a ride or die.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's been up there.
My wife, Guppy, heard that you were going to be on the podcast.
Oh, yes.
And she still rants and raves about the syrup you made.
Oh, yeah.
That had the citrus and the Sichuan pepper.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So
that's sweet.
Innovation is pleasing many.
Yes. Good.
So hats off to You want to tell a little bit about what was in that concoction you made?
Yeah, so I get all of my spices from Spicewalla in North Carolina, and they have an incredible selection of great spices. Like if you can think of it, they probably have it. And so I ordered all of that from them. It's green cardamom, star anise, clove, cinnamon, Sichuan peppercorn. Toast all those up till they're nice and fragrant. Crush them down, steep them in a simple syrup with some orange zest in there. And I really like the Sichuan peppercorn, like kind of bridges that gap of like it's sensory and taste, but it's also sensory and feel because it gets that numbness on your tongue that I thought was really fun to play with in a latte experience. And I initially presented that at the Bellwood holiday party. We had like a little latte throwdown where you could present a drink, and that one was like I wanted you to be numb while drinking it. Like you were going to feel that numbness. So I did like a rim garnish with Sichuan peppercorn. So like immediately like got those lips
Comfortably numb.
Yeah, exactly. I actually did play Numb by Linkin Park during the presentation, just on repeat.
Dang.
Which but yeah, so I kind of brought some of that Sichuan back for like the greater public serving. But yeah, I really wanted something that was kind of push that envelope, and it was something that I experienced in the La Marzocco Cafe in the KEXP in Seattle. They had a roaster in from China called Seesaw, and when they bring in...
Such a good name.
Yeah, I know. That's great. And when they bring in a roaster, they bring on their specialty drinks. At least that's how it was set up when we were there. Can't speak to it now, but one of theirs was distilled coffee, cranberry, and Sichuan peppercorn. And it was like, it blew my mind that anyone would use that. And so I wanted to incorporate it in that kind of spicy holiday drink. I do love that syrup.
I need to try that.
It's very good.
Thank you guys. I'm very thankful that y'all came in and hung out, and I'm excited to get to make coffee for you again. But yeah, it's one of those where you're like, that was a seasonal drink, and I know y'all have to go through this too, but you don't want to see it go. Like you're excited about having it on the menu. Mm-hmm. You're excited that people are excited, but inevitably, like, it has to go.
It's that PSL dilemma.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only special because they probably made it year round at this point.
I don't think
No,
so.
they
I
don't.
know.
It's all about seasonality. We had someone comment on our Instagram post about Matcha Madness saying, this giveaway sounds good and all, but if I win the raffle, can you just keep the thick mint on year round? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
What is one for y'all that y'all would like to keep year round that you just can't because it's seasonal?
Tokyo Drift was pretty hot around the cafe.
I can't believe that got so much notoriety.
Dumbest name ever.
I was like, I'm dedicating this to Vin Diesel, and I'm calling it the Tokyo Drift.
I mean, my whole life is dedicated to Vin Diesel. So
You know the feeling.
this one's for you, Vin.
I don't have friends, only family. Dude, family and friends, check that out.
Hey, thanks for the
Full
shout out.
circle.
Streaming on Spotify.
What's the new album called?
Kid Spirit.
Very cool.
Very cool.
The thing that I wish we could keep year round was our fall blend called Hayride. I just want to sell that wholesale wise to people that want like it has a place on our menu because workers' comp is like our darker solution, but it's always a single origin. It's not a blend, and it's just simple and chocolatey and really great for that. And then Free Throw is our flagship blend, which has a little bit more of a fruit acidity. And then Hayride was this like kind of blend of the two, but there was this like, I don't know, just like spicy quality to it as well. And I could just see people like putting that on espresso or drip or just anything.
Right.
So that would probably be mine if that was if that was a year round. I was really sad to see that one go.
Yeah. I think it's interesting when we can, like, we kind of got into some, maybe it didn't feel like hot water to us, but, we released all these kind of variations on a theme of these lattes that we've had in our experience where we're like, I want to do something like that. Then you release it and someone, for us, someone was like, we came up with that. You're like,
And you're like, I know.
right, yeah. Or at the time I was in when this kind of came to a head, and I am Joel and Charles are Bellwood. I'm a part of the team, but there are a lot of conversations that go on like between them because they're brothers and owners and all those great things. And so when we got confronted about this specific drink, I was in New York at a cafe drinking that exact same drink.
Perfect.
And this coffee shop was like, you're stealing our integrity by serving this drink. It's like, is that how it works, right? Like at a certain point, when do we lay claim to
Sure.
this like list of ingredients?
There's like 20.
Yeah, yeah.
There's like 20 ingredients
Yeah.
that you mix
Yeah.
with coffee.
What was the drink?
It was like a s'mores latte.
Okay.
Oh, we kind of ran into that when we were talking about. I don't know who you're referencing, but we wanted to do something with marshmallows, smoked glass, cortado vibes, and like Onyx really like represents their what is mortado is just what it's called.
Oh,
Maybe. Yeah.
But it's like this is like very known to them, and it's like, well, we want to do it too, but we don't want to do it because they're doing it. We just want to give our guests who have no idea that exists or the other one exists
Right.
just a good drinking experience.
Yeah.
We're not trying to like. I think we do a pretty good job. Like we don't try to like lay claim to any
Yeah.
flavors or profiles because some people will even come like, I went to this other shop and they have lavender vanilla too, and I'm like, yeah,
Dude,
probably
it's
like
everywhere.
Probably like everyone does now.
Yeah.
Yes, we did it a long time ago, but someone well before us did it.
Right.
I honestly have no sympathy for that whatsoever. Like,
You got
'cause-
a nothing's new under the sun model.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and especially to your point about like each coffee shop is so specific to their local guests.
Right.
Like the fact that, yeah, like I don't know why I don't know whoever was talking to you about you are compromising the integrity of our company. Like, I wonder why they thought that.
Right. Right.
Is it because you're stealing their customers from New York? No.
Yeah.
Is it because you use their idea and that's just wrong because it's wrong? That
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Because even like I think listing out the ingredients of the Ella, which was the holiday spice I made for Meadowlark, it's like overall the experience, the thought, some of the ingredients overlap pretty well with the House Deluxe, like spicy orange latte.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Great drink. I love that drink.
Are you saying you stole our drink idea?
Okay, that's just wrong, bro.
No, so I just have to say, can I just have your recipe list? Because I feel like I just need to take your recipe.
Yeah, you can just have
Yeah,
it.
cool. Thank you. Can I call it the Valor House Deluxe?
You can call it
Okay, cool. That's all I really came here for. So we can wrap
the
up.
luscious Meadowlark.
But
Madness.
I think no, I'm not flying to New York to get a s'mores latte. Like that's not necessarily how I think this works. And I think you are localized into this thing. And if I'm kind of on the same page in like a lot of the music stuff and a lot of the latte things, like there isn't anything new under the sun and creativity. Like you can work within those, but certainly it's been done somewhere in some facet before. I'm excited to present it, try my hand, try to make it, try to do those things, and probably switch it up along the way. But yeah, I don't guess I'm kind of.
And imitation is the highest form of flattery. So even if it was
Yeah.
like, I see what this person's doing and I want to emulate it, it's like, great.
Yeah,
And then if they have it trademarked, you get a cease and desist and you stop.
yeah. You can just file it along the other C&Ds, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Ugh.
Like
Don't bring that up.
Uh-oh.
Cat and Cloud. I mean, or Chris and Jared creating the 1-in-1.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
it wasn't a completely original idea, but a phrase around it. I mean, that's on our menu now, you
Yeah.
know? And it's on a lot of menus, and they don't care. They want it to be on every menu, and they
And
aren't
it's
expecting
great.
credit from it.
Well, it's great, and it's great to give homage if someone asks too. Like,
right.
oh yeah, these guys out in Santa Cruz. Well, yeah, we all. I think it's important to try to give credit where credit's due for
Yeah.
things, you know, because to say that you're not inspired by other companies it's a fallacy,
Yeah, exactly.
a farce.
Wow.
Farce.
It's a fart. It's just a big fart.
How long have we been going? Are we really been going for 3 hours?
No,
It's 2
it's
hours. It starts at 1.
Okay.
How about that, huh? I always just look around this time because I don't know what I'm doing, and for some reason it usually stops at 2 hours 13 minutes,
interesting.
and I have to restart it. But it didn't do it this time.
Wow.
That's great.
Great job,
Are we gonna
Logic Pro.
split this episode up?
Shut your mouth.
I always ask if we can split the episodes, and he's always like, no. And then I'm like, you know, hey, what do you think about that mug over there? That's our prototype for our new mug.
I actually really love it. I wasn't sure if it was something that y'all were trying to. Can I just touch?
Yeah.
Who made this?
Colors are a no, but the shape is final.
The shape is great. The weight is also really nice.
Our friend Mark Rockwood is
on,
making
Mark.
our new.
Thanks, Mark. Big listener of the podcast.
You've probably seen him around.
Good job, Mark.
Friend of the program.
Friend of the program.
Yeah, that's great. He did a great job.
Yeah, I'm stoked on those. Let's just narrow in a little bit more on
Yeah.
Meadowlark.
Yeah.
What do you want your next year to look like? What would be kind of your dream
Yeah.
scenario? I guess we can just start there.
Yeah. So one, I want to be in operation. Okay, health department, you listening?
They don't listen.
Yeah, they're.
Please.
It's amazing how much, like, especially small town, like, they know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um,
There's
but-
not a lot of action to report, probably. So
Yeah, that's kind of the tough part. But certainly within the next year, I'd really like to have a full functioning coffee shop, and I would like for the cart to still be like available, like event style. I think would be a lot of fun. Right now, we have a couple of options at our disposal that I'm trying to figure out how we can kind of get into. But yeah, I would love to have a full functioning shop, maybe some kind of cool pastry like food program as well. And I would really like to be able to serve in summer, sorry.
hey, Summer.
Yeah, so I would really like to be able to have a shop open every day of the week, employ a couple great people, and create an environment that everyone feels welcome to be in.
You want to be open 7 days a week?
Yeah, I think that's the goal. I think 7 days would be nice.
Yeah.
Could I work 7 days of the week? It's a
No,
lot.
that's why you get employees so they
Yeah.
can work 7 days a week.
And then
You
I
can
sit
work
back
2.
and just sit
Yeah.
on my throne.
The bathroom. You're in the bathroom.
Oh,
Again,
man.
I never leave.
You're just in the bathroom, like practicing holding it.
Yeah.
Like,
The amount of free chapel people that are just going to be
Chomping at the bit.
yeah. it's true.
lying out the door Chelsea boots. I'm talking
Yeah,
like it's
man.
going to be nuts.
Yeah, so I would really like to have a space. I think that there's room in Gainesville to build, potentially a couple of cafes. I think
Gainesville's
Gainesville's
big,
like
man.
spread out in such a weird way that there would be an opportunity to make something bigger. But right now I think my main focus is just on getting back up and running. Certainly within the year, I'd like to have a home that health department can walk in and see just happiness on every corner.
Their thumbs are way up.
Yeah, so far up. And it's just one of those things that there are the community in Gainesville is really gracious. Like I feel very welcome there to do a full coffee shop. And I think there are a lot of people who have offered their facilities in a way to make it easier for myself. But, still there are a lot of doors open that I'm really thrilled for that health department is not. So they don't become an option anymore.
How's Inman Perk doing over there?
That I think they'll always have a market. I think they serve people that I do not, but yeah, they're crushing.
We have the same thing in Alpharetta. There's shops that are for different walks of life. There's like a gluten-free bakery that does coffee. There's a more like bistro lunch spot that does coffee. And there's a different coffee shop that's bigger for people to hang out in. It's kind of all little. You all got your niche.
Yeah.
We're the place that you go to if you want to listen to like club music and watch Sam Thomas twerk behind the bar.
That's a big chunk of the population.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think there will always be I think coming from a place like when I was working at Brash with 5 coffee shops around on every corner, and each coffee shop was pushing numbers. I think there is space in the coffee community to exist, like several places to exist in the same spot and do well, and each serve something different. I think in Gainesville, and maybe y'all face this in Roswell too, where it's like people understand having like 3 pizza places, 3 burger spots, 3 bars on the same block, but when you try to put like a coffee shop in the same city that a Starbucks exists in, they're like,
we're good.
What? So there's a Starbucks right here. You're like,
see how that
works. And you just, we've kind of faced that a lot where people are like, so what about you have Dunkin' and Starbucks, and then Inman Perk, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
It's like, it's a differentiated thing, and
you're gonna serve traditional macchiatos only.
Well, I think that is probably, you mentioned it, but a big reason you think that way is having worked in West Midtown during the height of like you said. I mean, let's list them. There was Revelator right there. There was the Brash Box, not Brash. Did you call it Brash Box?
Yeah.
Okay, Brash Box. Chattahoochee was right there.
Octane
was there,
Sid Mashburn.
Sid Mashburn.
Yeah.
And then like Star
that
had like a linea
coffee program. Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah, that was those 6 were it in the 2 block span.
That was it. There's room.
For the listeners, like how is the 2 mile radius?
No.
Yeah, it was like 1.
1 mile?
Yeah, from if the end caps in my mind, the 3 points of that triangle would be like Octane here, Chattahoochee, and then Revelator. And they were like, and everyone was pushing numbers. I mean, I think Revelator kind of cannibalized it, but they, now you have kind of the same thing, but Prevail's right there.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Sid is still pushing Chattahoochee, Brash, and then Holiday Bar is like right across the street from Brash, and they have a coffee program.
Oh, okay.
Where's that?
It's in that new Star Metals building.
The new development.
I'm so unfamiliar.
I do. Okay.
nowadays.
Does Sid Mashburn still use Peach?
I think Peach
it's
runs it.
Peach Cafe now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa. Super cool.
Yeah.
So every time I talk to someone about maybe one day we'll open an Atlanta cafe, they're like, it's so oversaturated with like specialty coffee, like good coffee. And my next thought is like, well, yeah, compared to the suburbs, but so having worked in one of the most highly saturated specialty coffee areas, maybe in America. Think about it. Like that was crazy what happened in West Midtown and what still is. Why did it work? Like why? First of all, did it work? Like you said, most of these cafes are pushing numbers. Why?
I mean, I think that when you boil down like what you go to a coffee shop for. Like you can get coffee like anywhere, you know. You can make coffee at home, but what you're going to each spot for is maybe the people that work there, the energy you feel while you're in there, the experience that you have, and then like the coffee is a factor within that. But you know, I think it kind of all comes down to what you are searching to get, and I think each cafe specializes in a different one of those things, or maybe like aligns with each person in their own right. I think, you know, for Brash it worked, and for Chattahoochee it worked, and you know, you kind of go to each of these spaces for different things. Chattahoochee has a great seating space, you know. They all have their own thing, but what you're delivering along with coffee is the customer experience, and you know, all those other things fall around it. But you know, I think so many people think about like oh well, you need parking like right there so people can get in and out easy. But if you care about the space, you care about the coffee, you care about the people there, like parking, you'll park and you'll walk like however far you have to get there within reason. But you know, when you look at the numbers per capita of like a big city, and that's something that I've kind of had in my mind when I'm pitching to some of these people who like are asking those questions about our setup at Meadowlark. Like when you look at per capita numbers of a bigger city, of how many coffee shops per person, or you know, it's like the numbers in actuality are still fairly small compared to some of the bigger cities like, you know, LA or New York, which it's a different culture there. But even like Austin and Chicago and some of these smaller, bigger cities, what we experience on our level in Atlanta is like a lot smaller than what some of these other cities have to offer. And especially Gainesville, where it's like, yeah, I mean, you have like, you can go to Starbucks, or you can go to Inman Perk, or any of those, but we're still underserved when it comes to a coffee shop per capita analysis of that greater thing. And even, you know, I think that y'all would, just judging off of the numbers of like people that drive from Atlanta to Alpharetta to have your coffee, to experience your cafe, to be around you guys and what service you're providing and the emotion that you feel inside the cafe, like you would do great in Atlanta. Like that's a market for y'all there too. Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of a roundabout way of an answer.
I think you answered it. It's almost just inquantifiable,
Right.
because people just like what they like.
Yeah.
And it also helps that like that part of town in West Midtown is a bit of an epicenter that people throughout, not like people from the suburbs definitely drive in, or maybe used to more so drive into West Midtown. And they would, like, for me, like Rachel and I would, like I said, we would just go there to coffee shop hop.
Yeah.
But like there's a lot of residential areas surrounding West Midtown, so I bet that feeds into it as well. But
yeah, absolutely. But I think we kind of roll back into what we were talking about with the roaster situation and wholesale. It's like, how do you put a number, or how do you nail down the like full on consumer desire of being affiliated in some way with that specific shop, you know, or like having that be a part of your walk of life, right?
On that note, have you guys noticed this? You know, you go to a certain city and their local roaster has almost a foothold on that city.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, we use them because they're our local roaster.
Right.
Do you guys feel like Atlanta kind of isn't like that? You guys have any, like, maybe it's because Octane, I guess, kind of was that and then went out the door. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think a lot of people associate certain roasters with Atlanta, and rightfully so. And plenty of them have plenty of accounts. But I'm just saying, in my wholesale experience, you go to someone and they almost don't want to use the local product because they want to use one from somewhere else so that they're like the only one. You know,
Right.
like we're the blank account
Yeah.
around here.
Right.
Well, something I noticed early on when we were touring and going to shops, like especially on the East Coast, going like North Carolina, South Carolina, like everyone at the time, it was all counterculture shops.
Yeah.
Every like maybe 8 out of 10 shops I would go to would be counterculture.
Yeah.
And I think then you kind of like fall into this different world of like, well, we don't want to be that. And one of the shops that I reached out to like early on, had a lot of friends that worked at trying to get it. They were like, I mean, we're in Atlanta, but we're not trying to be like an Atlanta specific coffee shop. Like we don't want to have like Valor, Radio, Bellwood, East Pole. Like we don't want only Atlanta. Like we want stuff that you can't get here.
Right.
And there's value there. But I don't know that I've ever necessarily sat down and noticed that. But as you mentioned, it's like, it's very true. And I think you can go to different like restaurants and have the same coffee. Like there's
Yes.
a roaster in my mind that like has a lot of restaurant accounts, which is great for them. Like that's good money. But as far as like having a local roaster that must be in a shop, I don't think that we necessarily have that in the same way as other cities do.
I'm not. I'm by no means saying there's anything
Oh,
wrong
right.
with it whatsoever. I guess I've just noticed that in my travels is you go somewhere and it's like, oh, this cafe uses this, or even uses their cold brew or whatever
Yeah.
from the spot in town because, and I think a part of it might be a relational. I think we've already hit on that. Like the biggest part of wholesale is relationships. And so if a bunch of coffee people in a town have been in a relationship for years and then a bunch of people start cafes,
Yeah.
probably going to use their buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a certain long play to that we didn't really talk about that I think we're seeing more and more of like, one of the biggest reasons in a very positive way that Andrew started working with Bellwood with Tuesdays is there was just relationship there over years of like,
Right.
oh, we've worked at these shops, we've known each other. And that's really when it comes to like the value of that relationship is these people that you've cared for and poured into without this expectation of like one day you're going to open a shop and work with me and give me
Right.
money. Like it would be pretty maniacal to have that kind of foresight.
Oh yeah.
So there is something to like, you just have to build relationships and know people now for who they are and love people for who they are. And then when they need something from you or there's like a symbiotic relationship that can form is when it will happen.
Yeah.
I feel like what you were saying about Octane, it would have been interesting to see like as all these new things start to come up, if Octane would have had those relationships, just because I feel
Yeah.
like they kind of missed the wave of like all these shops coming up that needed roasters
Yeah.
in a sense.
And also, I mean, where they would sit if it hadn't have been for all of that happening.
Which is crazy.
It is.
How's your linea? I meant to ask.
That's great. I love that thing so much.
I don't know if you listened, but we did like a 3-hour
Yeah.
cart podcast.
Yeah.
Have you enjoyed your coffee cart that you built? Did you build it?
Yeah, so I take very little claim to that. I think Summer's mom is great at everything. She's very handy. So we bought the IKEA cart and had her cut the round dowels and half dowels, and she did all of that handiwork. And then Summer's dad came in and helped me cut the top to have, knockbox, pitcher rinser, all that stuff. But we did build it. And I love that linea. It does wonderful. Even in the days that, we have experienced a rush, keeping up with pace, the linea has not failed me.
Come on.
I love that thing. It keeps up steam power keeps pulling great shots. Yeah, I think for the workflow and layout of the cart, the Mazzer Mini makes sense, but for like actual workflow, the Mazzer Mini doesn't, because it takes like 18 to 20 seconds to grind.
Really?
Yeah, it's a slower
boy.
grinder. It totally would work for single origin decaf. And so what we were looking at was either going, adding an Anthem to the mix and making the Mini a decaf grinder. But then I got that deal on the K30 Twin. That kind of made more sense. But again, for footprint of a cart, the thing is big.
Yeah,
It's a
dude.
big boy.
It's a wide boy. Can you believe that the Malkunik E80S can grind, like, at least for us, like 18 grams of coffee in 2.5 seconds?
It's nuts.
It's too fast.
It's
pointless.
I was telling
Yeah.
that's because they were talking about like scalability with it. I was like, guys, the Anthem does it in like 5. I'm like, there's nothing I can do in that extra 2.5 seconds that's like helpful.
right.
Because it's just like,
Yeah.
I could see it being very useful if you had a G&B type model where you're going to stand there and pre-grind 40 shots
Yeah.
for the next hour or whatever.
Right.
That would be
Totally.
incredible.
Yeah.
But that's not us.
Yeah, I was just reading about Go Get 'em Tiger's approach to grinding and resting espresso, which totally makes sense if you can't age your coffee. Like not if you can't, but if you're running through it so fast that you have like very freshly roasted coffee on espresso, like yeah, release that CO2 however you see fit, and to do it by pre-grinding espresso. That makes sense for volume.
I'd love to try that. Get like a couple days off and rip a shot, but then prep a shot and just let it hang out for 10 minutes.
Yeah, last time I was in, we were in LA recently, and the last time we were there, I noticed that they were opening the canister, putting it in the portafilter with a little shot collar, and getting that in there. And I thought that's a very interesting method. And then they posted the resting ground espresso.
I really want to brainstorm ways to do that with our catering operation.
Oh yeah,
The thing I can't get past is like, how do you store all of those canisters in a convenient way? Because the space is the thing that you need, like, or it's the thing you don't have with
Right.
catering.
Yeah.
And so I've just thought about like, okay, how could we pre-grind all of our espresso for a night of service and just like have it in, it could literally just be in like a tub and you just grab it and then dump it.
I think where I get to, and this is more of like it feels like more of a, I would hate to get into a situation where you'd pre-ground like 60 canisters, and that night you get there and it's like just for whatever reason, whether it's the environment you're in, the pressure, or whatever the weather around you is, and all of that espresso is not pulling correctly.
Dude, that really could happen.
That would be like, that would be the worst situation to be in.
True.
Like, well, we got about 12-second shots right now, and it
There's
tastes
nothing
like,
we can do about it.
Yeah.
Oh
But
my gosh.
that all falls under the trial and error umbrella of what you're talking about. But man, like,
so you do 60 at one, 60 finer, 60 coarser,
Yeah.
yeah, in that
30
window.
more fine.
I love their spirit of challenging the status quo. That I think that really helped us, like how they pre-grind their Spro, helped us to take freedom in doing things like that. Like we've been talking a lot with our next cafe, how we want to structure the bar, instead of having just like a traditional espresso machine with 2 steam wands on each side, maybe doing like 3 mod bar group heads, and then completely removed 2 steam wands right beside each other to where you can have like stations for each.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how we work at our cafe anyways.
Right.
But even that, it's like, how do you take it a step further? Could you do the pre-ground thing and then make the shots be pulled even faster? Or
There's something I was thinking about last week, where I was thinking about how I want to lay out my week weekly schedule, and how I just had this thought. I was like, okay, what if every Friday I just set aside 5 hours of my day, like so most of my day, and the title is break everything. Like every single thing I know about coffee, do it the opposite for 5 hours. Every single thing I know about like bar flow, or everything I know about how I do my job, or even just like our company in general. What if I just did it differently just to try it?
Right.
Like that just, I'm in no way like giving advice on a high horse. I'm just saying like, I want to try to do that. Cause I've kind of noticed myself doing that on Fridays.
Breaking stuff.
Yeah. Just breaking everything here, you know?
Pushing the EK.
We've noticed too. Okay.
Oh yeah, the roaster's not working, by the way. Right?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
it happened after 3 on Friday.
Yeah.
Right. I just kind of mess with it, but I just wonder like what we would improve about our industry. You know, like if we all took a practice like that, just with GMB as an example, like them pre-grinding all their espresso. Like
Right.
when I heard, I don't know if it was Kyle Glanville or Charles Babinski talking about this, but he just said when we open, I guess it was GMB, our goal was not to produce the single best espresso anyone has ever had in their life. Our goal was to serve thousands of people walking through Grand Central Market every day in a way that was like, and so just that shift of vision and that shift of like mission unlocked this method that just works for them.
Yeah.
And just having a day where you just like drop all of your expectations and like question, why are we doing it this way?
I can't remember why you mentioned it. But when you were, it was a while back, and you were talking about how coffee pre-ground consistently leads to a better cup than having like a bad grinder at home that you're grinding each morning. Mm-hmm. Like if you can get a coffee shop to pre-grind your bag and it's very consistent, you will get a better cup than if you have like a $25 blade grinder that you're grinding each morning with, you know, boulders and fines and everything in between. Like, and that was the first time that I was like, maybe not the first time, but that was one of those changes in my mentality where it was like, you're taught that freshly roasted coffee ground right before you brew it is best. Like that's what the status quo is. And that's one of those things that challenged me, and like, okay, so maybe not. And then you move into like the Nordic roasting coffee where it's like, yeah, this coffee is like super lightly roasted and 3 days out tastes like super grassy, like brown notes like all through. But if you wait like 3 weeks, let all that CO2, like let it degas, kind of let it get to a point, like it opens up in this flavor profile that's a lot better. And Little Buffalo, I think, is a roaster that approaches Nordic style pretty well for my taste in the U.S. And I had a coffee from them that the first like cup was like just lemongrass hay notes peeking through. And then I let it like sit for 3 weeks and drank it. I was like, this is one of the best coffees I've ever had. It approached that fruit level really well. It hit like a really nice tea-like body in there. And I think similar to what you're saying and what you were talking about with grind consistency, it's like when we take what we know and we approach it from a different light, even if it's like backwards where you're just intentionally breaking the rules, you can come across these like really great approaches that make a lot of sense, especially from like a workflow or like an overall company. Like there's a lot of really great things that we can find by just doing it wrong.
Right.
I do a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, not everything is black and white.
Ooh. Well said.
Guys.
There's a lot of gray area in this coffee thing.
It's just a new industry.
Yeah.
Well, Super old and super new.
Yeah, this wave, this like what, eighth wave?
Eighth wave.
It's all eighth wave now.
We're all eighth wave, man.
Well, 2 hours 46 minutes
Yeah.
later. JP, how can we find all of the different things you do online? Do you want to
Ooh,
give
yeah.
some quick references?
Yeah, so family and friends on Spotify. You can check out that music there. We got Meadowlark Coffee on Instagram, which is, I think right now, since we don't have a space, kind of the best way to find us. And yeah, if you ever want to try some Bellwood Coffee, there we got some great locations in Atlanta. Great website, and if hopefully you can find a little Bellwood and Valor collaboration soon. I'm not dropping a hint. We don't have anything
Like,
in the works
just drop
currently
the
that I
hint.
know of, but
Might as well be in the works.
yeah,
If
it's
we
in the
say
works.
it, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can find me on Instagram, or if you want to come to Gainesville, hang out with me, my wife, and my daughter.
What's
I
your
do.
What's your
House.
go-to place in Gainesville if you're not at your house?
Oh, that's a good question. I really enjoy being at Enemies of the Average, where our pop-up has been. I think they've created something really great there. And then, man, we have a Thai place in Gainesville. Eat at Thai.
Ooh, I love
Real
Thai
good
food.
Thai food. Real good Thai food.
Come on.
Yeah. No, you come on. We'll go.
All right, Pad Ki Mao. Let's get some Pad Ki Mao, baby.
So,
Thanks for being on.
yeah,
JP.
y'all,
What a
thank you
treat.
so much for having me. It
We
really-
owe you.
Big time.
Yeah.
Love you all.
Love
Love
you.
you guys.
Love you.